Hello, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts, to a Tuesday stream. It is January 15th, 2019. Can you believe that we are actually midway through the first month of the year? I think we're almost to the point where we can stop wishing each other Happy New Year now. I think everybody now knows it's a new year, and we're in it, and we're right here. But welcome, everybody, and welcome to Day 39 of Adventures in Middle-earth Wilderland Adventures, sponsored by Cubicle 7. This is A Darkness in the Marshes, as we are continuing through our adventure, our tour of Middle-earth. We hope you've been enjoying it as much as we have been enjoying playing it for you. Before we get into today and recaps and introductions and all that, just a couple of reminders about ways to support the stream. If you have not done so already, please make sure to check out the YouTube channel with !ArvTube, as Echo was kind enough to list. !ArvCord will get you over to my Discord channel where you can hang out in between with the Discords and things like that. So !ArvCord for that. !ArvTweets will get you over to my Twitter, and as Echo was kind enough to list again, !Tweet will let you retweet my stream. Please do that so that we can get out to people beyond just the immediate Tolkien, the immediate Twitch world and stuff like that. We can get to a more broad Tolkien audience as well. !ArvShop will get you over to my merchandise area where at present you can just get Infinity and Beyond merchandise, but as I have been saying for months now, that is going to be expanding, I swear to God. That is going to be expanding, and we're going to be moving out to other things soon where we're going to be dealing with hopefully some Adventures of Middle-earth merchandise and some Simon Impossible merchandise and Esper Genesis merchandise and so forth. So definitely check that out. !ArvTreon will allow you to support my Patreon, which is really the financial backbone of the channel. Currently sitting at $377.96, allows you to inspire the players and do other cool things. You can check that out. And last but certainly not least, of course, is the sub button. We are sitting at 63 subs. Goal for the channel by the end of the year is 80 subs. So my hope is that we will continue to move in that direction. It seems like we've been doing really well for the first 15 days or so. So we're going to keep moving in that direction. You get cool custom badges and cool custom emotes and all that kind of good stuff. So hopefully you folks have done that. And if you haven't, please consider doing so. And if you have, thank you. Let's make it 100 subs. Well, one goal at a time, Echo. Once we actually get to the goal, then we can set a new goal. That's definitely would be awesome. But let's worry about this one goal first. But I am appreciative of the thought process. Hopefully we can make that happen. All right. With that said, we are day 39 of Adventures in Middle-earth, and I just want to talk schedule quickly. We're going to be playing Wilderland Adventures today, and then I will be over at GOG at 4 p.m. for Pen and Pixels, and doing D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder. That campaign has been a ton of fun as well. We will have a full crew over there. The entire GOG crew will be there with us at 4 p.m. Eastern, so that will be awesome. And then on Friday, I will be up in Boston at my Boston area release party for my album 5 Years Later, for my band's album, The Road. And I do want to highlight this because I'm going to be trying to post details about that. I'm going to try to live stream it too, but if you were in the Boston area, specifically Cambridge, we're going to be doing this at the Lily Pad. Doors open at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The show itself starts at 8. We'll be running probably until about 9:30 or so. We'll be doing a lot of the songs on the new album. We will have, of course, merchandise to sell, shirts, albums, other surprises, and things like that. So there will be no official video game or tabletop role-playing game stream on that day, but there will definitely be a stream. So hopefully you folks can make it, because I would love to see any or all of you there on Friday. And then Saturday, we will be back here in the evening after big birthday celebrations for my daughter, who is turning 11 the following day, Sunday. So we're doing all her birthday stuff on the 19th. And then in the evening, I will be with the amazing Infinity and Beyond crew as we continue with Curse of Strahd. So we've got a lot going on over the next couple of weeks. We've also got more Esper Genesis and more, AME to come and all that other kind of stuff. One last note, just a reminder, please remind me if I forget, although I have put a big note here, but please remind me that we are doing the nominations for the Chat Chosen Game of the Month today. So after the session is over, we're going to do this vote. So please make sure to be thinking about what you'd like to do for a possible Chat Chosen Game of the Month. That would be lovely. Okay, with that said, I am now going to start turning my mic off and speaking to them so they know that we're ready to go. And then I'm going to unmute them. And then last but certainly not least, I'm going to head over there. Bum, 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 bum. There they are. Most of them, not all of them, most of them are here with us as we return to what I defined as the desperate flight from the Dwimmerhorn. We will see how they handle things in just a minute. But I will start with the gentleman right below me who is wearing his black baseball cap and who seems to be awake. awake. I can never tell. I just wanted to make sure if he actually was. And that, of course, is that's Trend. What's going on, Trendane? How's life with you, sir? And who are you playing today?
First of all, not awake.
Okay.
It may look like it. My eyes may be open. Remember that scene in I think it was it wasn't Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was Temple of Doom, where the girl had written "I love you" on her eyelids. And every time she blinked, yeah. So I just have eyes painted on the outside of my eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually asleep right now and talking in my sleep because.
Does that mean it's a dream?
It's a dream.
If so, apparently, judging by what's going on underneath me, Robar is dead. Probably not, though.
Probably not.
How am I aside from asleep and and I made a mental note when I watched the solo episode with Robar. I made a mental note to comment on right near the end of the stream where Dreaming to me is like, ah! And I was just like, I must make sure to remember to comment on that. So there it is. Let's see what is going on with me. I have been in one of those bouts where you fall asleep, but you don't go very deep. You get just deep enough to kind of start dreaming, and then you come out just long enough to go, hey, and then you fall asleep, but you don't come out far enough to get away from the dream, and so you drop right back into it so that's part of what led to the story idea that I told you and John about with negative space, where a photographer is, because I just sent little Arv a book, a photography book on that features a lot of negative space,
which he really liked.
Yeah, the subject of the image is not always in the center. They're like, sometimes they're way off on the side, and it's just this huge blank space with this jaguar kitten kind of off in the corner, and you're like, it's amazing. But anyway, the idea was that this photographer started utilizing negative space, and in the process started discovering that there are things that live there. That's where monsters live, is where they are not the focal point of everybody's attention. And once he discovered them and started showing people, hey, look, there's monsters that live here, people started hunting them because now they knew where to find them. And monsters are a natural resource, and they started overmining them. And now we don't have the monsters to make our kids be good. So it's like they're all gone. And there were the one thing that I didn't include in the story description when I recorded it was that I was talking about the monster that eats plastic. And like back in the 70s and stuff, your daughter wakes up screaming that there's some monster in her closet eating her Barbie's hair. And that's the worst that it was. But, as time has gone on, and once we've started thinking outside the box, we started finding all of these things. We started killing them. It's like, can you imagine what the world would be like if there was not a monster that was out there eating all the plastic litter? Actually, you don't have to wonder what it's like. We're living in it now. There's plastic everywhere.
You realize that the implications of your argument are that the more innovative we have become in our thinking, the worse climate change has become. That's basically what you're saying, right?
So I'm playing Tawny Bear, the Hearthminder, who is probably going to have to start kicking a little bit of ass, but he's surrounded by orcs, so it's fine. He doesn't have a problem fighting them. Well, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. He still has rage issues. Well, I don't know.
We shall see how that all plays out. I am looking forward to seeing how that happens as they are in their desperate flight. Yeah, I am. I truly am.
You are.
Moving right along down the line. So we should be getting, I don't actually know whether there may be a encounter roleplay oversleeping. I'm not sure. I think he was supposed to be with us. I'm pretty sure all the timing worked out, but
damn, he was supposed to pop in, right?
Yeah, that's it. Well, hopefully he will do that, and we will have him. That is played, of course, by Will Jones from Encounter Roleplay, who plays Robar Staunton. Those of you who were here last Thursday saw him in a solo session. So we will see whether or not he takes a little longer to get back from hanging out with his sister, basically. We will see whether that happens in just a moment. Moving right along down the line to someone who is here with us, as always with her jaunty blue hat, is, of course, Terry Tunes. Hello, Terry. How are you? How's life? And who are you playing?
I'm good. Life is uneventful right now. Like, holidays are over, so like back to the
grind.
It is more bearable though, since I've gotten a Switch for Christmas. That helps.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So, but yeah, like other than that, yeah, no, everything seems fine. And yeah, I am playing Inge, daughter of Ida. She is a dwarf from the Erebor, and she is a wanderer and a stonemason by trade, and she has a trusty pony sidekick who carries all her stuff, who is not with us at the moment, because I am paranoid and I don't trust Arf to not kill him. So I sent him away for now.
Right. Well, part of this is going to be Lillemon's solo adventure where he challenges an Uruk and like
Great!
Lillemon's day off. I swear to God, at some point I'm gonna do a little spin-off like a Lillemon and Stone buddy comedy side session where it just like I want to see this happen. And the whole thing is just I just have to have it played by Tren and company, so that basically Tren is just like everything is just done with animal noises, and I am excited for that. Don't shake your head at me. You're capable of doing that. Yeah, I've heard it myself.
I'm not capable. I'm saying I don't want to do that.
It would be pretty funny to see you maintain it over a few hours span. Anyway,
it'd be funny for you.
It is always my pleasure to have Terry with us, and of course you will. Terry was with us last week doing Sagar the Barbarian. This week with AME, next week with AME. So you will see more of Terry in the week to come. Last but certainly not least, of course, Amal is back with us, and always a pleasure to have Amal with us again. Mal, how are you? How's life in the universe and everything? And who are you playing today?
Things are okay. I also am a bit sad the holidays are done, but glad to have recovered from a very weird virus that gave me vertigo. That was just made everything very strange. For a while.
Yeah.
But it's that's in the past. I'm glad, knock on wood, that it stays there and does not recur. But yeah, things. I've been watching a lot of really amazing things. Like besides amazing movies, I've been watching this absolutely addictive Chinese historical drama called Empresses in the Palace, which is so addictive. It's soapy and glorious and beautiful and full of women like talking to each other and being extremely nice to each other sometimes. Like, it's got polls of just the ladies are either admiring each other's hair and etiquette and carefully chosen references to literature appropriate to a variety of situations, or they are orchestrating each other's deaths and being extremely petty and awful and bad. Not the same characters, but it's just kind of amazing. If you have found yourself, facing a dearth of ladies interacting with each other while wearing stunning clothing and want to watch that, I highly recommend looking up the subtitled at full length Empresses in the Palace, as opposed to the somehow reduced to 9 hours or something on Netflix version, which I have not encountered, but I have been steered away from. So just do the YouTube version. And then maybe stop at episode 11, because apparently things get really terrible after that. And if you have characters like I do, I'm fine with it stopping it.
So the Netflix version is shite, yes.
Okay, right. So I will, did you try watching it?
No, I have it in my like bookmarked in my Netflix account. I haven't watched it yet because I always get recommended all the historical dramas because I really like historical dramas. But yeah.
It is an extremely Confucian look at this specific history, but I find that really really satisfying somehow. Just everyone having these extremely elaborate rules of decorum that they all need to abide by, and that the text helpfully explains to us as it's happening. I just find deeply satisfying for some reason. Okay. So I find it really, really neat. But yeah, anyway, that aside, also watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and it is
good. It's damn good.
No word of a lie, the best film I saw last year. Like, just if there are any Hugo nominators out there, like, and you haven't seen this yet, absolutely see it and stick it on your best dramatic presentation ballot. It is so great. And I don't just mean great in the like, it's not a great superhero movie. It's just like the best piece of cinematic art I saw all of last year.
It's a really good movie. I agree. It's an important film in addition to being a good film. And that's not always the same thing, but it's an important film and a good film. Yep, I agree. Totally.
Yeah, the animation is so beautiful. It's like I came out of there vibrating with what a magnificent work of art I'd seen. Yep. Like everything about it, from the music to the animation to it's just fantastic.
I totally agree. It took them 142 animators to get that right, because the thing is, they had to, like they basically had to create a comic book version of animation, like, so, and it was great. I agree. Yep.
Yeah. So, been pretty good. Other than that, back to teaching a creative writing course this term. Hello to my students who probably maybe are watching this. Hi.
Identify immediately.
Yes. But anyway, so back to that, very excited about it. And back to the dissertation grind as well. So I'm actually weirdly excited about that. Like, I feel like this was a good holiday recharge. Looking forward to just having a 6-month marathon on this, and then hopefully, knock on wood, being done.
Yep, and which many celebrations will be had when that happens. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Assuming we survive this desperate flight, which I really hope we do, because I am playing a character called the River, who is a woodsman from Rosgobel, and is a warden, a fighty bard who has just bardily fought her way into announcing their presence inside an orcish stronghold by stabinating someone with an axe. Slicinating?
Slicinating, yeah. I think that's the technical term.
And accompanied by her faithful hound of Mirkwood Stone. Here's hoping. I also said on the Twitters, I don't know if you saw, but like, I think Desperate Flight would make a really good indie folk band name.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm considering that River is a fighty bard. She could have Songs of Slaying as the first album, and so on.
I know, I love it. And I feel like there could be. I immediately to my mind jumped the song Stone's Lament. Never mind the lament part. I don't know why. That's probably not a good idea. I'm sure that nothing bad would actually happen. You know why?
God.
It's because I, as I mentioned, my band's Boston area release party for our third album is this Friday, and one of the songs off that album, which we will be playing at this show, is Lament. So I was album, and then I'm like, so Stone's Lament, and then I'm like, Lament's not positive though. Right, exactly. So we will see. Yes, you should definitely get that. It would be awesome. We call that Tolkien punk, I guess, Tolk punk, for something like this. But no, it'll be great. Tolk punk. The professor is rolling over in his grave. Anyway, I was
about to say.
I am very glad to have Amal with us and the most of the crew. Hopefully, we'll have Will join us as well soon. So, quick recap. I'm not going to recap what happened with Robar because I want to wait till he's actually here to do that. I will instead recap what happened with these fine folks. They have been traveling from Mountain Hall to the Gladden Fields and to the Dwimmerhorn because originally they were sent here with instructions by Radagast the Brown to seek out the darkness which clearly has been creeping over Wilderland over the last several months and years as the party has determined as they've been sort of wandering around through here. There have been lots of signs, and the signs have become really too difficult and too obvious to ignore. And so the party ended up heading over to Mountain Hall, where they gathered information about people that had been lost in the Dwimmerhorn in Gladden Fields, specifically traders going back and forth from Gladden Fields to Mountain Hall, and some of the leader's own people, actually. And so once they had gained the favor of Mountain Hall, they ended up traveling to the south, led by the guide Magric. Now, I was very careful about my pronunciation of the term trader, because we also had a traitor who ended up showing his traitorous ways when he gave them up for an orc ambush. And the party was exceedingly angry about that. Side note, anyone who was watching from the Adventures of Middle-earth Reddit, we had a little bit of a joke back and forth about people being like, yeah, my people really hated Magric. I'm like, so did my people really hate Magric. So everyone hates Magric. Anyway, the party managed to ward off this ambush and rescue an escaped slave who who was one of the woodmen that had been working there, who told them of these terrible things happening at this fortress and of these some of his own people which still needed to be rescued. And so as the people traveled over to them, thank you for the follow, by the way. As people traveled over to the Dwimmerhorn, the party made its careful way up the side of this place. And in fact, I think I still have my picture of this, so let me pop that up there. Yep. Made their way up the side of this mountain, all the way to the top where this old ancient fort, this fortress really, which had been originally occupied by Isildur, these many centuries ago, but had fallen into disrepair and has now been taken over by servants of the enemy. One of the things that they discovered there, what's up, Zach? One of the things that they discovered there was a temple of this sort of frightening looking black stone, inside of which there was this sort of green light and these ominous sounds happening. And so the party, Tani and Inga disguised, went over to sort of take a look at this temple, while the river went on to deal with this pit that was basically in the center of this complex. In the pit, she found basically just bodies, a bunch of bodies of killed and dead slaves. There were some who were still alive, actually some people that were being led into the temple. And when so the river was dealing with her own kind of having to improvise basically with another orc guard who was kind of like, I'm looking forward to eating. And she's like, yeah, this is great. Not at all. While she was in the midst of that, Inga and Tani had made their way into the dark temple, where they discovered something very troubling. Not only the existence of a couple of an orc and a human, but also this corpse which was propped up and which was apparently speaking. As they got closer to the corpse, they discovered that the corpse was actually whispering to them about dealing with the rest of the north, sending word to the mountain tribes. And right around this corpse was wrapped this enormous chain, this green glowing chain, which just radiated evil, essentially. As the large leader orc ended up leaving, and a guy who was referred to as Lockmand, this human bandit type, was leaving, he ended up actually passing by Inga. And ended up actually recognizing, or thinking anyway, that he might have recognized Inga. And so as they were sort of having these discussions back and forth, Inga trying not to, reveal herself, quite obviously, eventually he discovered her presence, and this great horn, I believe it was, no, I'm sorry, bell. This bell began to dawn, this drong, drong, this basically alarm bell. And so, as we bring things back to the party, this is where they find themselves. The river, who I believe has by this point gone back to the door of the temple, if I'm not mistaken. I think you walked over to the door, but I'm not sure if that's true.
I was by the door, but I also, there was a guy who was who was like trying to ask her questions, and
you stabbed the guy.
Stabbed him, I think, right as the bell started sounding.
Right as the bell was going off. That's right.
Yeah.
So she stabbed him. The bell was going off. Everyone is sort of looking. The slaves that had been brought into the temple are, sort of looking around, as well. And so as I hand things back over to the party, I am going to ask them for a single action they want to take before I ask them for initiative. And let's see. Let me get the music rolling here.
And us to the proper map.
But not the forest. Oh, yes, right. Let us get over to... What? No, not Dark Times, Kevin MacLeod. I love it, but no. All right. Exotic Battle. There we go.
Exotic Battle?
That's more like it. That's what this is called. Exotic Battle.
That's right. We're fighting with maracas.
Exactly. One of the orcs is like over in the side. Okay, let's get you over to the right map. Okay, give me a second.
That makes me think of
this is not the right map. Just hang on.
Whatever. The where Tani closes the doors and puts chains, not the green one obviously, but all sorts of nails, boards across and everything, and turns around and he's holding the door shut, and then immediately Cuban Pete from the Mask starts up.
Smoking. All right. All right. There's that. Okay. So let us set the scene. So we've got the river with Stone standing at the door, having stabbed the bandit. And while I'm on the subject, let me bring over that bandit.
Spliced. I don't know.
All right. Let's see. I want someone better than that. Okay.
Yeah, that's how my boyfriend search has been going too. Someone better
Wow.
Yeah, do you want a ruffian or a highwayman there?
Yes.
Just,
Yes, I do. All right.
those should be categories in the apps. I mean,
Boyfriends?
well,
I immediately like grinder.
yeah, I don't know how like I'm calling them the apps partly like in homage to like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, but having been in a monogamous relationship for longer than the apps have been around, I just don't know how they work, but it would be cool if you could sort according to like highwayman, ruffian, in search of, you know, rustabout, man around
Entirely
town,
D&D theme.
rascal. Yes.
I was actually laughing at the thought of Trent going over his screen and trying to swipe right and left. I guess he's doing that.
Instead of doing this, it's like I'm looking for a new pope. And
Jeez, does that mean you get smoke,
say
like the white
jeez
smoke?
when I make that
You do the
joke.
white smoke like outside your window when you found the right boyfriend. Oh man. Okay.
Anyway.
So
back to the horror.
yes. These are the amusing moments before death. Okay, let's see.
I'm really scared, guys. Oh no, I'm so scared I knocked my headphones out of my ear.
Take comfort in the fact that Lillimud's not here and he's going to survive while we all die.
Here, look. Why don't I just have you fight this guy? This is fine, right? I'm sure that he's.
What is going on
That's-
there?
That's called a dashing orc. I don't.
a-
Who has? I have no idea.
Dashing orc?
Dork.
That's more like it.
A dork.
Okay.
That's amazing.
That is more like it.
No, he's too cool looking. I don't like him.
Okay.
Dork is also the name for a whale penis, so it's fine.
Wait, really?
What?
Yeah.
How do you know, Trent?
I'm a furry.
How do you?
And
But
I was a vet tech.
The trap.
And I worked at SeaWorld. Okay? Furry, vet tech, worked at SeaWorld. I know things. And I agree.
I really would like to do a survey of vet techs and find out. Well, I guess if they work at SeaWorld, they would know. But
I wasn't a vet tech at SeaWorld. I sold
Oh,
things. You can vet.
you were just an interested party at SeaWorld and then became a vet tech later.
No, I would just hang out in the Shamu Stadium on my breaks. And Shamu would float in front of the plexiglass and we would just sit there and have conversations.
I see.
I hate how many things are populating this screen right now. I'm sorry.
This is just. I mean, you know,
This
this
is
is just a
kidding.
small amount. This place is crawling with orcs, quite
They
obviously.
start so big. I don't
Yeah.
like them.
Okay. So, give me just a sec. So, all right, you folks are going to have a chance to act here. These are the ones who are sort of outside at the moment, but there are going to be more coming. Right now, there are two inside here. This guy's actually closer to the front, like this. And then this one actually should be right here because you just stabbed him. So, don't ask that stuff. I should know better. That's true, Arendt. I don't know why I haven't learned by this point. Like, don't ask questions I don't want the answers to. That's 100% accurate.
You said there were slaves in here too?
Yes, I'm not going to put all of them down, but
Good.
there are about, I believe 4 is what I said, 4 or 5 slaves. I think it's 4 actually, that are in here. And if you had to guess, I mean, of course you don't know for certain, but it seems like this was the last batch that was going to have whatever was done to them. So you think this is all that's left. And judging, River, by what you saw in the pit, your guess is that these are the only still living, you know, people that are left.
Are the slaves chained up or anything?
No, they are, let me rephrase. They are chained to each other, but their feet are not chained, and there is no one else around them at the moment because they're just here. The only one that's near them is the big orc leader, and there's, of course, the corpse that I mentioned that's near the back here. As a reminder, there was this, I think I told you that there was, when this thing started to, you know, dong or whatever, dong, right? That this figure, this shadow, slid out of the corpse. I don't know, did I mention this or not? Because if not, I want, okay. And that it was the same spirit that you previously saw when you were in the dream with Irame. So you'd seen this one before, and it hisses a word in black speech, clearly the speech of Mordor, and then vanishes, and then the horns went off. So the corpse right now is just kind of sitting there lifeless, as you would hope a corpse would be, but it is no longer speaking, and there is Lockmund up front. There is this orc who calls himself, apparently he's called Gore, from what you could tell, is back here, and then you've got these, a few of the slaves around you as well.
So do the chains of the slaves, do they look like thin enough that I could split them with my axe?
So, I literally was just Googling this because that was my master plan also. You can split chains with an axe provided you put them on a hard surface so that the chain absorbs the force of the strike. And also if you are good at targeting it into the center of a link. So, and you've got a really huge axe. Like, I was thinking of this for River's axes, but...
Yeah, but like, I mean, the floor is made from stone and there's...
Exactly.
Yes, the answer to that is... Yeah, the answer to that is yes. You can basically do that. Because these chains are not in great condition anyway. They're not massive chains. Now, the chain that is around the corpse is enormous. That is like you hold up a bridge with this chain, kind of chain. So that you certainly could not split, even if you were inclined to try. But the small ones that are holding them together, yes. However, it'll take a little time to do, and you do have the problems of the horns blowing, or the bells ringing, I should say, and so yes. So I will give you each a chance to make a decision about one act that you want to take, and then we will, as I say, roll initiative.
So there is not enough time to do that now as my current action.
No, you could do that as one of your actions. You would have to... I'm trying to think. Because they're basically... So it's 4 of them in a line. There's a chain between each of them. So you can't do more than one of them per, act. So it would take you 4 turns probably. Or if you just stand there and do nothing but split chains, 2 turns to break them free. You are going to have to make an attack, but it'll be a very simple attack.
And there's only one orc inside there?
Correct. At the moment, there's only one, which is the big guy. The other ones are outside, although there are at least 4 of them that you see behind you, including one that you were talking to, River, and there are others presumably on the way.
And how hard is it to shut the temple doors? Like, how big are they?
They're pretty big doors. You don't know how hard it'll be. You'd have to double check and see. Tren has no experience with holding doors shut against onrushing enemies, by the way. That's never happened before.
So I think that River's action is going to be to, with Stone, dart into the temple and try to start shutting the doors, assuming that yeah.
Okay.
Right, yeah, because there are windows inside this temple that we saw from the outside as we were trying to figure out whether or not we could use them to get in.
True.
Right? No, they're very small.
If there was only some kind of giant chain you could use to help seal the door shut. Well, the problem is, flying enemy, it doesn't look like they'd be able to move it that easily. I mean, probably 3 of them could, but this is, in fact, it's not even clear how it actually even got in here. This thing is huge. Let me see if I've got the right. Yeah, there we go.
I don't suppose.
No, wrong one. I need it lower. I'm sorry,
Like,
I'm just trying the right one.
Doubting very much that there is like a back entrance to this. I guess the question is it a better call to try to run out of the temple and with them still chained together and break their chains outside if we get there, or to break their chains first and then figure out our next moves from there?
Well, breaking the chains is gonna take too long, so I'd say let's deal with like the immediate danger and then bother freeing them, I guess.
So, oh god, that bogging! Stress, pressure.
Full
can we
immersion.
attack for our action, or
I'm sorry, say again, Terry?
can we attack for this action?
Sure, but you won't be able to
then.
move, and so.
Well,
So,
I mean, like the orc dude is like right next to me, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to get a sense of for River is like, so Are orcs swarming outside right now, or is there still a lot of confusion around who's what?
There is confusion. Those 4 that I posted there are the ones who will be able to respond the most quickly, from what you can tell. That confusion is not likely to last long because the bells are going off, and so, I obviously can't tell you how long the confusion will last, but you would assume it's not going to be longer than a couple of turns at most before they're all coming in.
Okay.
Like, my idea would be to like behead Gore and like take his head, and that might like scare off the other orcs.
Scare.
Because fitting for a stage
Intense.
to be very gory.
Fair dues. I'm trying to think about, and specifically River is trying to think about like how to get out of there with everyone. And it seems like the longer we tarry in this place, the less likely it becomes that we'll be able to get out of it. Because we didn't see, as we were circling the temple from the outside, there were no other places of egress besides those tiny windows, right?
That's true. Now, you have not looked... in fairness, you haven't looked around the temple, like inside of the temple walls to see.
Right.
Could there be tunnels or doors or, who knows? That's possible, but the obvious things would just be the windows and then the door leading into it, yes.
And the windows, like, they were too hard to scale from the outside, but were they actually able to fit a human body through them?
You probably could fit a human body, although it would be kind of a close thing. The problem is there's not a chance in God's green earth that Tani could fit through it.
Right, okay.
Fortunately, this is not God's green earth.
And so you can still not fit, yes.
It's Eru's greener. Anyway, okay, so, I really wish there was like a more feasible way to discuss this in character, but that's not really likely.
You can definitely yell out to, you don't have time for a conversation, but you could definitely yell out, do this, or, whatever it is you choose to do. And it's up to everyone else if they want to do that.
Okay, and another question. Okay, everyone, we're all still wearing our orcish armor.
Yes.
So there is still a possibility that if Tawny, for instance, were leading a bunch of tied together humans out, that could be plausibly deniable in the confusion.
Give it a shot.
No.
I can't say because I don't want to guide you one way or the other. He's still
I'm
disguised. The only one who's revealed themselves for certain is you when you stabbed Lockman, and theoretically Inga, who Lockman recognized. By the way, just to be clear about that, I mentioned this last time, but the reason that they recognize each other is because Lockman was actually a servant of the bad old master in Laketown, and so Inga had actually seen him before, and he was not a good dude. Basically, he was, as most of the people who hung out with the old master were not good people. So that was why she knew him from before.
Right. So the reason River stabbed him when she did too was that he had not yet revealed anything about her specifically.
Correct.
Because she was still, there are clearly tensions among the orcs, so my sense is that an orc randomly slicinating a human is not unheard of.
It's maybe, but in this position with standing right in front of the leaders, and it seems that would probably seem pretty odd even to the orcs. Maybe, but
right.
Depends on how you play it,
Right,
it's
right.
how well you bluff from here.
I'm thinking aloud more than anything else. So to me, the main question, the main question is whether to shut the door and start barricading it, or to start fighting in order to keep the path open for you guys to run out. So I think that, in terms of what River... So just to give myself a second, I think River, having stabbed me to this guy, is going to look into the temple to see what you guys are doing and try to, inform her action accordingly.
Well, one of the things that you would probably see upon hearing this, this entity notifying everybody, infiltrators, spies, whatever, blah 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 blah, is that Tawny immediately turns and just glares at Inga and makes like he's ready to attack her. But it's of course a feint. He's waiting for one of the two leaders to get close enough to him that he can, as he's going to look like he's going to strike at Inga, instead go right up into the leader. But he's right now he's turning and glaring at Inga.
Would Inga get that idea from Tony?
Let's find out.
Let's find out. We'll all find out together.
Like, Inga would just like, because that sounds like a very good idea actually.
Okay.
Also like pretend attack Tony.
What we'll do for that is we'll have you make an insight check, Inga, to see if you can figure out what he's doing, and if so, then you can react accordingly. If not, then you will have to assume that he's losing. I mean, you still wouldn't necessarily think he's lost his mind and is attacking you, but you wouldn't necessarily like follow suit. You'd probably be more surprised than anything, would be my guess. So, yeah.
See, that is a 15.
I think that's enough. Yeah, I think you can figure out that that's what Tawny's doing. It's so out of character for him anyway that so I think it makes sense.
Him doing like an attack.
he's like, roar, attack you, type of thing. So he's okay. So
Inga is gonna try to avoid his attack by like basically stepping closer to the orc guy to like make it better for like Tony to aim.
Okay.
At the guy, kind of.
Okay, so that now I know what you two are doing. That's good. So River, I still need to know, I think, what you've decided to do one way or the other for you. And Stone, of course, is waiting to get his cue from you.
I'll be right back.
Right. Okay. What's his name? Lockmender? Lockmand. Is Lockmand actually blocking the door, or
no? He's really to the side. He was kind of really. I should be having him over here. He's kind of down the steps a little bit, like a step or two. There's 2 steps leading up into it, so he's kind of halfway down those. And at the moment, he's kind of like, this just happened. So he's kind of like, sort of stumbling backwards from your initial attack.
Okay.
And actually, one thing I'm going to limit you to, River, since you did get an attack in on him, I'm not going to allow you to do another attack on him. You can.
That's fair.
You can take other actions, but yeah.
No. Okay. All right, she's gonna start shutting the door, I think. Trusting that the orcs, based on that conversation with the one she was talking to, the orcs seem afraid of the temple, and like, or seem to hold it in some awe and stuff. So she's going to just start shutting the doors.
Okay. So as you see this, as you start to kind of move to close the doors, you're actually the doors open inward, so you're gonna have to go inside, which is fine.
Right.
But as you're getting ready to do that, you can see there are now more orcs that are starting to run from basically over here towards you. I mean, there's a couple hundred orcs in this place, right. So all right, so you are able to, I think, close at least one door. Let me have you make an athletics check to see if you can get the other door closed also in this time.
Can Stone help leaning against the door?
Sure, why not? Let's have you add another. He can't do a lot though, as strong as he is. Let's have him add 2.
Okay.
It's like when a dog's trying to wake you up in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, 16, is that counting the +2 or no?
No.
Okay, so 18. What's up, Dragon? Okay, yeah, I would say so. So you're able to boom, and as you do this, you kind of get this wide-eyed expression from Lockmand as he's kind of falling backwards and pointing and yelling at some of the other orcs at you. Okay, the time has come, folks, for initiative. Let's do it up.
Remember to click your icon, your character, before you click the word initiative on your character.
This brought to you by Roll20 Facts.
So I'm clicking the character and then rolling initiative. Right. So I have clicked character, or am I supposed to drag the character?
Nope.
Or just click? Okay.
Select him, then click the word initiative. Her. The word initiative.
Yes.
Didn't see me there. Ah, okay.
I did select it, but it didn't why did this not happen? Anyway, 18.
18? 18?
Yes.
Really? Because I have a 22 that shows up here for you.
Right.
Oh.
I see 18
Oh, 22.
on the
Sorry.
die.
The die. I was in the wrong. Yeah. Anyway, yes, 22.
Gotcha. All right. Let me have that descending. Great. All right. Let's see. We're going to move. Robar is moved out of this list for the moment. Okay. Man, I'm loving those bells. I just want to start singing the Hell's Bells.
Tony, was I supposed to select the character on the, like the icon on the map before rolling initiative?
Yep.
Okay, that's what it was. I was just like clicking it under characters going, there we go, I've selected, but no, okay.
Okay, and then this goes up like that. And... Alright, okay, let's see. 22... 14... Okay, and... Meanwhile... My folks... Okay... I forgot to bring that up already. Yeah.
On the bell tones.
Yep. Okay. Okay. All right. We lead off then with the river. You are up, and you and Stone can both take your turn. So you are currently standing inside. The doors are closed. Now, they are not locked yet. It's not clear. There seems to be a keyhole on this side, and you don't have any, keys or anything like that to lock the temple with. So there's no big, large metal bar to close it off or anything like that. So, but they are closed at the least.
They are closed. Okay.
And actually, we should move you inside.
Inside, yeah.
And whoops.
He's not inside.
He's inside with you.
No!
He looks up at you. He's actually Stone, who's disguised as a dog. No, damn it. Okay.
Scooby-Doo.
Okay, is there anything obvious near the door with which it can be blocked or barricaded?
As you look around the inside, let's see, probably the thing that's the most of the temple, there are these pillars of black stone, and the thing that's probably the heaviest is a casket, which is lying against the wall over here. This is where the corpse is sitting. That thing looks pretty heavy. Nothing else, though, really except for maybe the chain, obviously, but again, that's going to be hard to move. But there doesn't seem to be anything really else in here. There's not even pews inside this temple. There is, however, a stone, what looks like kind of a small altar of some kind up here, which might be stained with some undescribed liquid.
It's chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate syrup.
Okay. All right. The thing is, River is definitely not strong enough to hold a door just on her own. So there's one hostile in here. I think what she's actually going to do is where are the slaves right now on this?
They're basically right here. They're between Tani and Inga and Gore.
Okay. Right, well, I guess
they're looking at you sort of around fearful, and they're not, however, reacting with horror, probably because it just had it beaten out of them. They look exhausted.
Yeah.
And kind of
is River able to make it to Gore and attack in this turn? Is that too far?
No, I think she can make that, sure. She's gonna have to get around these okay. I keep resisting. I was trying not to get more things on there, but let me put the people up there, because
I say we just stack the slaves against the door.
You just pile them up.
Actually, they are probably there are enough of them. They probably could go and hold it.
And they have chains.
Yeah, exactly. So, So actually, yeah, I think,
That wouldn't be confusing at all. You want to get out of here? Help me close this door.
yeah.
What?
Well, it's also a surface against which she can break their chains.
I popped up a look for a townspeople and came up with serving wench. Really?
What?
Like that's its own thing? Is a serving wench?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my
Anyway.
God.
I mean, they do show up in like every second game.
Oh
right?
yeah, like I mean I understand, but like I mean, really?
There are different colors of hair on the serving wenches, but not more than one type of
Whoops.
person. That's great. Okay, so
Oh, wait a second. It's doing that because yeah.
oh, one last. Remember, the last thing that River did before the end of last time was to also invoke Elbereth.
Yes. I do remember that.
I just wanted to remind myself of the effects of that.
So, what that does
Oh, that's to gain
is
inspiration. Yeah. So never mind. So she used that inspiration to attack Lockmond, but she also did shout Elbereth in a dark place. Just wanting to have that as a context for present action.
Okay, so I've put the 4 now. 2 men, 2 women.
Great.
I think they're called Tavern Wrench, actually, based on what they're holding.
Okay, so what River is going to do is so she's going to she's going to shout "Woodsman to the door" and run to attack Gore at the same time.
Okay. All right, so she will yell that at them. Okay. All right, she will yell at them. We will see what their reaction is on the next turn. You were able to now run. So let's see. 5, 10, 15. Yeah, I think you can do that. So Gore is not defenseless, but he's not like, whoa, but he definitely is standing there as you kind of run up to him. You can see, by the way, that he is this very large. In fact, I probably need to make him a little larger. Very large orc, almost man-high, you would say, almost as high as a human would be. And he is clad in this armor, which is all black armor, but it seems to be of various pieces. It almost looks like cobbled together, like there might be a couple of human pieces, like the gloves look like they might be of human manufacture, but then the breastplate looks like it might be more for an orc, and the boots might be elvish. It just seems like it's taken from different places. But as you go running up to him with Stone, now Stone 5, 10, 20, Stone could theoretically, as you see this sort of group of people gathered up here, you could theoretically get to him on one side and have Stone, not this turn, or not this right, because Stone goes next. He could then run to the other side. And
flank?
Right.
Yes. Okay, that seems like a tactic they'd have practiced, actually. Feels like pack tactics.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that seems like a good plan.
Okay, so let's have you move up to him. Just move your token to the side that you want, because you could be on either side of him and have Stone on the other when he gets there. So you're not attacking with flank yet, but Stone will be. Okay. So, all right, you can attack him normally. Kind of turns to see you as you're there.
All right. For Elbereth. Did the second one happen? Okay.
3 attacks.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, sorry.
I saw 3.
Sorry, just the top 2 then.
Top 2, both of those will hit.
Great. So
okay.
So I think no, that's fine. Yeah. Okay.
So 12.
Yeah.
All right. As you kind of strike him, he takes back, and kind of staggers back a little bit from your vicious attack. All right. Stone now comes to the other side, and can now attack. Now, technically, these flanking things, because you don't have necessarily like specific training in this, although I'm sure you have worked on it, you're not going to get advantage on this, but he is going to get a bonus to attack. So we're going to say that he has like a +2 to hit, and then we'll do whatever his normal damage would be if he hits.
Okay.
Wait, so I'm confused.
Ooh.
What happened to like Tony and Inge doing like their fake hitting thing?
He has not had a chance to react to that yet. That we will see how that all works in a minute. Because that may have that's one of the reasons why he's not able to defend himself better against this attack. It's because he's focusing on you two. But you know, he may not come all the way up to you now because the river has gone and attacked separately, which is fine. I mean, but that's so yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. That will hit.
Okay. Where is
that 20?
There we go.
Would it work to take Gore hostage?
I don't know if they.
That's something orcs care about if their leaders get killed.
Not a
So-
very good if they do.
The other guy was just like running his mouth off about hating Gore because of Gore not being sufficient to the task and stuff like that. Am I remembering that correctly?
More or less.
Yeah.
Basically saying that, you know, that he wasn't doing the work that he should be doing, that they need more time. Basically, the Gore was yelling to get his men, his orcs needed more war and fighting and plunder and death. And Lockman was like, we need more time, we have to be careful, you know, Gore is overreacting. So it wasn't so much that he was equal to the task as much as it is that Gore was being too bloodthirsty and he needs to be more thoughtful. So,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so that is a hit. That damage, he bites into his side. And let's see, DC strength saving throw. Let's see if he makes that. No, he sure doesn't. Okay, so
He's pretty big. I
yeah.
don't think he's a small or medium creature.
yeah, exactly. He's medium.
Okay.
So he kind of, you know, staggers back as stone hits him, and he kind of doesn't quite fall to a knee, but he's definitely off balance. Okay, now it is Inga's turn. Now, so as I mentioned, he was starting to move towards you when the attack happened with River and so forth. So the question is what you want to do now, because obviously Inga, the slaves are all like completely confused and don't know what to do, and obviously you and Tani are having this little fake fight. So what do you want to do?
So the slaves aren't moving, yes.
Right, they're just kind of like they're kind of huddled together, maybe might be a better way to put it.
No, I don't know. I think I'll hold my turn until Tony did his turn.
Okay, you just want to reverse. You can do that. You can just have Tani go first and you after him.
Yeah.
Now, the only
almost
thing
like
is
the
you
idea,
don't-
Like Tony,
I was just going to say, you don't know when Gore is going, though. So if Gore goes between you and Tani, that means you'd have to wait until after his attack. He may not, though. You just don't know.
Oh shit, I don't know.
He said, I don't know, and the bell's like, dong.
Yeah, exactly.
So is it?
Deep sympathies, by the way, not knowing best course of action because we can't just sit and hash it out.
Oh, okay. So what Inge is gonna do? She is gonna try and like basically wedge herself between the prisoners and like try to push them away between herself.
Okay. Between the prisoners and whom, though? Between the prisoners and Gore, the fight?
Like here, basically, where I put like the token now, basically to like make sure that they are out of the way, basically.
Oh, okay. Because it looks like where you're putting yourself looks like you're trying to set. Because remember, they're chained together.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, then I guess Inge's just gonna try and break like the chains apart of like.
Dayron is like two-hand with the axe. Dayron is very clear about what he thought you should do. All right. Yeah, you can break the chains if you want.
Like of these two.
Against the door, which is not barricaded.
Like, would need to walk to the door first, which they can't do during my turn. So.
Oh, no fair.
Okay, so like that's what Inge's gonna do. So I just do an attack roll.
Just do an attack roll, yeah. As I say, this isn't going to be a difficult one. That's fine. Chains are surprisingly not very mobile. So
They don't dodge very often.
Yeah, the chain like snakes out of the way. You're like, oh crap. No, you hit it, and you do smash it. It breaks immediately. These clearly were not intended for. They did not expect people to be trying to break them with axes in the middle of the camp. Clearly, so these are not designed. So it breaks apart, and the two slaves kind of stumble apart. These are two men who are chained to each other, and they kind of look at you with these wide eyes of like it just sort of what? Because they still see you as disguised as an orc, so they don't know what's going on.
So first of all, like I was asking, like how does the chain work? Because if this is like a thing like in like Disney's Robin Hood, where like there's like basically one long chain going through like loops on the
No,
shackle,
there's
so that
four
you
of them.
cannot pull it out.
No, there's four of them. They're all chained to each other, and they're chained by the ankles. So there's about, I don't know, maybe 6 feet of chain between each of them. So
You said that
now
their legs are not bound.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you said their legs are not bound.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah. That's why I was imagining. That
Oh,
they
all
were
right.
bound
Yeah,
just
you're
a
right. You're
bit.
right. No, you're right. So then what happened would it be looped around their waist, basically.
Okay.
So actually then doing that means, so let me make another roll then. Because what that means, okay, yeah. So when you do that, it does break, but to do that, it basically, the chain was kind of like from them on the ground and then back up to them. So you break it. So they don't go staggering apart, actually. But you don't miss them by much. So their reaction is kind of like, but it's obvious that you broke their chain. So they're just kind of staring at you wide-eyed. One of them kind of semi-raises his hand and then drops it again. These people look beaten, you know.
Yeah, Inga just like shout that move.
Okay, we will see whether they do that. Now these two are chained together, are now broken apart between this guy and this guy and this one. But this one is still chained to this one, right? So this guy, the only one who's completely free is this person.
Yes.
Who's up to the north. Okay. Are you staying where you are otherwise, like in terms of movement, Inga?
Well, yeah.
Okay. In that case, it is Tani. So Tani
Unless
is
I
up next.
can like shove that other guy away additionally to break the chain.
I think you can do that. Oh, well, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I mean like basically shove that guy over here and like go where he is standing.
Yes, I think you can do that.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Then I want to do that.
Yep, you can do that.
That helps a lot. Thank
Okay,
you.
he staggers back to the
I
wall.
mean, that was like the original plan, but like at that point when we thought of that, like we didn't know yet that the slaves were standing between us and Gore.
Yeah. Yeah, he staggers back, bangs his head, slumps unconscious to the ground. I'm just kidding. He doesn't do that. Yeah, he staggers back.
Pushed me.
Yeah, I know you'd like. Yeah, no, that's fine. So you're able to do that.
Could you maybe stand a bit to the side, but not too much of a inconvenience?
Pardon me, we're getting ready for desperate flight. If you could just move to the left, please. All right. So you move in the way. Next up is Tani. Tani, you have a target-rich environment and a lot of things to worry about. So what are you gonna do?
The easiest thing, obviously, is to just cut off all of the slaves at the waist, and we can just pull the chains right off.
Sure. Yeah, I think it worked for Darth Maul, so I think that's fine. Yeah. Who somehow survived that apparently, so that's fine.
It's a back to tank probably. Anyway, so what Tani's going to do is he's basically sort of pivoting, like he's still going to come in at Inga, but sorry I mispronounced that, Inga, and
It's fine. Everybody mispronounces it.
I don't want to be one of those people.
Yeah, but
so-
like Tony would be right because he's not a dwarf, so it's like maybe like a dwarf thing, and like everybody who doesn't speak dwarvish as like a first language makes a mistake.
but he has the tongues of many peoples, so
Many
Doesn't mean he
peoples
doesn't have an
except
accent,
dwarves,
does it?
and so.
that's right, because they're not people, they're some kind of
Oh wow!
Yeah. The children of my adoption. Sorry. So anyway, yeah. Don't purse your lips like that. Anyway, but as he's pivoting, he's sort of like using his staff to sort of nudge the other three off to the side.
Okay.
In sort of a, get out of my way. You're blocking my shot.
Okay.
Filthy human. Kind of thing.
I think they'll slightly move in that direction. They're used to being
Probably.
pushed around anyway. So.
And so as they get clear and he winds up to take his shot at Inga, of course he redirects and goes straight for
Gore
Thank you, that guy.
goes straight for Stone. What? Oh, I'm sorry. I just.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. it's
Okay,
going
he's
to-
been hit by Stone on his left and by Stone on as you're looking at him to the left and by the river to the right. So.
So there's a
Here
big
I
old
am stuck
quarterstaff
in the
coming at
middle with you.
And shaboom. 12.
12 is not going to get it done, unfortunately.
Damn.
It sort of swings back, partly because he's kind of semi-falling from the previous attacks, and so it kind of swings over his head. He snarls at you. Okay, are you staying where you are, Tani?
Yes, I think Tony's now that he's revealed himself, is going to make himself more of a bulwark between the slaves and Gore.
Okay. Gore is now going to struggle to his feet, and he looks real angry. So he is going to make 2 attacks with his. He actually has an axe, and it's this heavy sort of orc axe. The first one he's going to be making at disadvantage because of Stone basically, throwing him off. And he's going to swing at Stone, who did this to him in the first place. So he's going to roll at disadvantage. That's an 18 was the lower one.
What? Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, that
The higher was 21.
Yeah.
Oh, that one doesn't.
Jeez, okay.
Yeah, so to be clear, that one didn't hit. Let's see. That is going to do 11 points of damage. I think he had 12, so I think he's just up.
Yes.
He really, the side just slides into him, and he kind of is bam against the wall of the temple.
And that's why I didn't bring Lilith up.
Also because War Pony. Then he turns, and it's not that he turns his back on Stone, but he kind of pivots a little bit so that he's facing you, River, and then brings his axe on you, but that is going to miss wildly, and just sort of clangs on the ground as he pivots around. And he says, "Once I'm done with your puppy, you're next." And so he says that, and then let's see. Then it is the slave's turn. So this one actually apparently heard you, because this one stumbles forward and sort of throws himself weakly against the door. But I mean, it's one of those cartoon, you don't know how strong he's going to be in holding this door, but at least he's there. These ones sort of shuffle off this way. This one kind of looks around wildly because he looks down at the chain, realizes he's still attached, and then sort of goes back and forth and just kind of helplessly. They all kind of move a little bit in this direction, but that's as far as they go. The good news is that although they're weak, they are mobile. You can see that they're not stumbling over, falling over themselves. So at least they can run. You just don't know how far or how strongly, but they definitely are able to be on their feet anyway. River's going to go ham in a minute because Stone got to. Yes, I would assume that's true. It is in fact the River's turn.
River is not going to mince words and is just going to scream "Ah!" as she fucking attacks again at this
Dick.
fucking asshole.
Okay, that too.
And so, attack.
The first one will miss, second one will hit. Okay. You have definitely slashed this guy, but he's big, and he's kind of he's sort of he takes his hand and rubs it over the blood, and then claps his hands together and rubs it on the axe handle, and says, "Now I'm ready for the fight." Okay. So now this point you do not have any more flanking because of Stone's position. He's obviously dealing with being hurt. So what is Stone going to do?
I think Stone is going to. Can Stone attack and then back away?
Yes, but he won't be able to run away. He could back away, 5 feet, basically.
Is that out of reach?
theoretically, but it would mean that the Gore could step forward again and like close that range again. It means that he's out of immediate melee range, but not like out of danger, because Gore could just step up and try to attack him again if he wanted.
Right.
At the moment, Gore seems more interested in you than Stone, but that could change.
Okay. Stone, being the tremendously loyal hound he is just going to attack again, and as he does that, River is going to say, "Stone, back!" after he attacks, and then
Okay.
back off, hopefully.
All right. Let's see how he does. Now, this is just a normal attack. This is not flanked.
Yeah.
That'll hit.
Hey!
It'll hit.
Yep.
Yay.
So go ahead and roll damage, then we'll worry about the strength thing. 8 piercing. Okay. All right, now, so that is,
He's gonna.
D6, okay. So, right, that is going to definitely do damage to him. Now, the one thing I want to ask is, the disadvantage on its next attack is assuming that Stone is basically throwing his weight into it. If you're going to have him back off, which you can do, it just means he won't get the disadvantage, that's all. But you can have him do everything else we said, so it's up to you. Given his hit point total, you know, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean she really wants him out of the fray. Like, but is it? Like, no, she wants him to back off. And in fact, can she, when she makes her attack, like position her like after her attack? Could because she didn't move, but can she put herself between him and Stone?
Let's see where you are. Yes, I think so. You could, yeah, you can slide around. So you could basically slide over to here, putting yourself between
Inga
him.
would be doing that probably, so like.
Yeah, I mean, you also see your
Step
companions
between-
behind you, so.
Yeah, like I mean, like Inga would like basically step there, like the second she notices Stone
Okay.
backing off. So like you don't need to worry about that.
Okay, all right then. Yeah, no.
If you want, you could even yell, River, like, please, like,
Yeah.
stand in before Stone, or, you know, like,
Yeah,
step in. You
exactly.
could do that
Yeah.
if you want.
Inga, and-
Hey, what's up, Anydo?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. So my turn.
Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon. I was looking at the fact we should be joined by our erstwhile ranger in just a moment here. Okay, so that is Inga. Okay, yeah. So now it is Inga's turn.
Okay. Then Inga just like sidesteps basically between, like Gore and Stone to make like sure that Stone is shielded off.
Okay.
And she is gonna, hit that guy.
Okay. Hit that guy.
Hit that
Yes,
guy.
Please do.
Punch him with her axe.
Punch that.
in the
Exactly.
face.
Hey, wow. See, you called it.
For the kill.
Wow. You son of a. All right. Max damage. What do we got?
Coming for the kill.
So, max damage. That would be. Wait. Oh, I
Go
forgot.
ahead and
I feel like Inga of late has been a killing
14.
machine in these combats. Like, 14.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
max damage.
All right. So you just like wham, like whoo. He's now.
Wait. Like,
Yes.
while she is, like, plunging down her axe, she's just shouting, and that's what you get for hurting animals!
Yes. Meanwhile, the 4 humans are kind of like, okay.
Well, I know, because it's just like orc versus orc. It's like a Ken Burns documentary.
Oh no, I see. All your anger is for the animal who was hurt. We're
Yeah, exactly.
just great. Sorry.
This is the way it is. Just like never kill a dog. So
Basically still traumatized.
Wick!
Oh,
yeah, exactly. We call this John Wick. All right. So you John Wick this guy. So he staggers back. I hate Keanu Reeves. No, he doesn't do that. He staggers back. And the thing you noticing is that your blow and the blows from many others that have your companions would have taken down most orcs. This guy still is kind of. I mean, he's definitely hurt, but he's not close to death yet, and he just has taken some serious blows. He's like, He looks really, I mean, I don't know if you could get, if there's like a anger beyond anger, but he is just like, his eyes sort of glow almost red tinted, almost like blood tinted with rage. He does not look like an Uruk flying enemy, but he looks like an enormous mountain orc, really. Still kind of stooped slightly, but again, still almost as tall as, really almost as tall as the river. Even despite his being stooped and with his wiry muscles knotted and the whole business. Hello, Paul. Right, exactly. So do you swipe on him?
I'm about to. No.
Unfortunately, though, it's your turn, Tani, so you're going to have to swipe with a different weapon.
Yeah.
Kill my would-be boyfriend?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. In another life, maybe.
Where's that comic that went viral like a few years ago about like some people playing D&D and like that one guy like just rolling natural ones one after the other and like ending up becoming like getting married to the evil
Right.
orc
Yeah.
overlord?
Right.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm gonna try to seduce him. Natural 20. What? Oh god, that was so good. Anyway, right. So, swingity bangity. Although Tawny will kind of spare a glance over towards the corpse for just a moment, like, as if making some sort of connection between his strength and proximity to that thing. Huh. And then the big stick comes down.
Okay. Hit. Will hit.
5 points.
Okay. All right. And you can see there's lots of cuts and bludgeons and, bruises all over this creature's skin. And he sort of breathes heavily and, so you've decided you're gonna try to take me down, are you? And then you get the impression, Tawny, that he doesn't, and then he kind of, his eyes widen a little bit and he's like, wait a minute. You're not one of the filthy orcs. And he kind of like looks up and around and sort of looks at the slaves and he throws his head back and he gives this great cry. Ah! And this sort of fills the entire temple, really almost echoing off the inside walls even. And you can see the slaves all like quail against this here. And at the same time, you hear a sound of as something hits the front doors of the temple. It's not clear whether it's people or whether it's a thing, but something is pushing, and this poor guy is like pushed back a couple of feet, as you can see the doors beginning to open a little bit. And then Gore swings at you, Tawny. Let's see. He's going to attack twice. First one's going to be a terrible miss with a 10.
Hey!
But
What a delightful miss.
But the second one is a 26, so I'm
And
pretty
then
sure that's...
Crowbar lurks through the door, just like, hey guys!
Aha! Okay. All right, that is going to do 7 points of damage to you, Tawny.
Well, let me ask you a question, because I am wearing the armor of the other dude.
Yeah.
So surely that makes my armor class like 30.
Yeah, because you can stack the armor together. No, but
Right.
it does make it harder for you to move and dodge. So thank you for the reminder. I think in May, in fact, I should. I'm just kidding. But sadly, no. All right, give me 1 second. I know the windows are off because we have been joined by our good friend, Will Jones, who at the moment we are in the midst of. Your compatriots are having a bit of a time of it.
Sounds like
now.
it.
Everything's fine. Everything's great.
I'm coming as fast as I can.
I would also like to note that while it seems that you have about half as much hair as the last time I saw you, it is still just as glorious. Just as glorious.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Very well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yes, good to see you guys.
That's true. Yeah, they were not back together as a group before. And so we will be heading over there in a little bit. Okay, I've got River locked in. And let me get our good friend. The green screen for a minute looked like you were in front of some cartoon. Like, I just looked up quickly, like a cartoon bubble, like, hello, that you were in front of. All right, hang on 1 second.
It's actually the Homer Simpson head. She's just gonna disappear back.
just like just nope out.
Hey
you know?
guys, I'm here to. Oh no, I'm out. Bye.
Time to Dunedain.
Time
all
to
right.
do it.
Let's see.
Yes, the ranger always arrives precisely when he means.
he means to. Let's see. Okay.
Really want you to like reveal your royalty right now or whatever.
Yeah, if you were revealing royalty right now, that would be awesome. If
That
you
would
could
be
do
so great.
With your lightning bag.
Oh, kill steal incoming.
that.
You know what? I'm fine with that. I really am.
Okay. All right. There we go. Now everyone's back in here. We will take a moment to just say hi to Will. Hi, Will. How's
Hi,
life
Will.
in the universe and everything? And who are you playing today, sir? Before we get back into the fight.
It is all good. I am ranger friend Robust Staunton, and I am somewhere on an eagle with my sister, I'd imagine at this point. Or maybe I'm back here. I don't know. Terrible things look like they're happening on the map to the party right now. So I'll try and keep it short. But I'm good. I'm excited, and I can't wait to hunt some orc.
Awesome. Yes, I will talk about bringing. I'll talk about how we bring Robar back in just a second.
Oh my
Also, I want to
God.
say to chat, I'm sorry about. I don't know what's going on with Chatty, but Chatty keeps disconnecting and reconnecting, and I don't know why. So I'm sorry, but I have. It's not me. I mean, nothing is disconnecting on my stream or anything. So I don't know why the chat's doing that. But anyway, that's why you keep seeing it pop up as trying to reconnect. So I don't know. Anyway, okay. So Robar is not there yet, though. So we're not going to have Robar enter initiative at the moment. We're going to go a little further here with this fight. So I believe that was Tawny and then Gore and
How much damage?
what did I say? 7?
I think that was 7.
So I think you're at 18 if I have you correct. Is that right? 18 out of 30, Tawny?
Let me find out.
Because I think you were 25.
Yes, I was. Yes, 18.
Okay. Inga is still untouched, right? Still just as pristine.
Always.
Yep. Inga, the immortal dwarf, as we like to call her.
Don't you put that in quotes.
I can't. Yeah. Well, okay. Sorry. I'll just say it straight up. The immortal. All right.
Am I calculating this right? Did this orc take 51 points of damage?
So far.
Wow.
Actually, no. No. He has taken.
2.
No. No, he's taken so far 56 points of damage.
Wow, that's great. That's
Yep.
awesome. That's
Yep.
so great.
Yep.
It-
Have I mentioned he's a big orc? He's a big orc.
That is like human size. It's not very big.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta think of how broad he is too.
No tease.
So, so these guys stumble towards these guys. I should not say that. These woodsmen stumble towards the door as best they can, and I'll say that they actually arrive to it. They kind of push themselves against the door. The door closes a little bit, but you can hear snarling and growling. And from your position, well, I guess you're concerned about. I won't say that. You're not looking at the door, but you can hear growling from outside. You hear more shouting, and it sounds like there's a lot of orcs coming up. Also in the outside of this place. They are on the way. Okay, that is going to lead us to top of the round here. Let's start with the river. So you've got the injured but not dead Gore in front of you. Will, do you like the bells? Do you like the?
I hear them toll.
Yeah.
One of
Right.
us.
They toll for thee.
Right. Well, River is slightly. I think she's actually honestly too fucking mad at him hurting her dog to really take stock of how resilient he is. So she's just gonna keep hitting him.
Okay. Also, one note, he is definitely getting hurt. You can tell that it's not like he's just shrugging this off like it's not even hitting him. It's just,
Right.
he just seems to be like, give me more hits, like
Yeah.
I'll take more.
Well, so and
Those guys.
Danny Glover at the end of
Rather-
Predator 2, you know?
yeah, rather than dignify his responses with any kinds of quips of her own, she is just going to start singing an Elvish song, sort of just under her breath at him in a way that is threatening and vicious and angry and very kind of targeted at him as she attacks, and a kind of like rhythmic Eldrath, Gilthoniel, sort of way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
you do that, and then the attack comes through. That first one is a miss. Second one hits, though. Another 8. Okay. Yeah, he's starting to look like pretty problematic. You can definitely see, like, I wouldn't say that he's slowed down exactly, but there's a lot of blood. And so you can see his sort of, like, his snarling, kind of growling as he looks at you.
can she actually? I don't know if she can do this. I guess not. Okay, so I mean, one thing she would. Yeah, she wouldn't think of this. I'm just wondering if like Stone can investigate for a way out at the back of the temple or not.
She could yell at him to try to do that, if you want, and then presumably he would listen to you and do that. I'm looking to see if he can 5, 10, 15. Yeah, he could probably get to the back wall. I don't think he could explore the entire back wall, but he could probably get back to around the corpse,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. All right. So. Yeah. Okay. She'll call to him, Stone, and just kind of like gesture towards the wall behind her. I think she'll. I don't know. Like, I know there's supposed to be like a one-word call and stuff. That he's only got he attacks on his own. He doesn't need to be told to attack.
Right.
But right, that's okay. I think that's what it is. So anyway, so she'll be like, Stone, sniff or something.
Okay. This image of him turning around and sniffing exactly where he is. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Right now. Okay. So you do point out the wall though.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he goes over there. You can see that his left leg is kind of dragging a little bit behind him. He looks very hurt. And he gets to the back wall and he begins to sniff along the back wall, like all the way. And Gore sort of kind of glances over at him for a minute. And then laughs and's like, "No, you're trapped here with me, lass. There's no way out of here except in that coffin." And he kind of jerks his head over towards the open coffin with the corpse.
River says, "You don't understand. You're trapped in here with us."
I locked her with you. What?
Waiting for that. I've been waiting for that.
Yep. And he's like, movie quote damage. So.
Fucking bird, asshole.
Okay, so you do that. All right. You walked right into that one. Exactly. I've been clapbacked to Twitter. All right. Inga is up next, and then Tani is on deck.
Yeah, she just like does her thing.
WTF again on him, like wham. Right. This time. Well, you were drawing up all your energy from before, like, unfortunately that is a miss. You're staying engaged with him though, I assume?
Yes.
By which we do not mean the engagement we previously discussed.
Well, actually,
what?
she can withdraw without provoking an attack of opportunity. That's like
she can draw back 5 feet, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Actually, more. Oh no, that's like after he ends his turn. No, she stays engaged for now.
Okay. That's Tani then. You're up, Tani.
So, hearing the sounds going on behind him and having a pretty good idea of what's going on at the door, probably because he knows what's outside.
Yeah.
I think what he's going to do is. Yeah, he's going to disengage and step back to help the folks hold the door. He's going to turn into an earth elemental. No.
Not that character.
Different character. Sorry.
Crossover, please.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be really handy if you could just.
Would be.
Like,
It was super handy in their campaign he's referring to.
What are the what are the handles in the doors like?
The handles are rather, actually not as rough as you might expect. They're vertical. and they are basically kind of this black stone that seems to be attached to some kind of metal that's like bringing them in. But they're fairly, they're smooth and carved, but they're not very ornate. So,
I mean,
functional.
The reason that I'm asking is that given if there's enough slack in the chain for the chains to hit the ground between the slaves for Inga to make the chop, then he's thinking about gathering some of it up. He would, in the short term, effectively be chaining the slaves to the door, but the main point would be trying to use the chain to bind the two door handles together so it strengthens the...
I think you could probably do that, but it's going to because for that to happen, I mean, there's about 6 feet of chain and between each of them, and Inga broke halfway through. So you're talking about 3 feet of chain. 3 feet of chain is not a lot to be able to get.
Three aren't broken apart.
No, that's right. But but I don't understand. How are you going to get them through the handles? Like
with style and grace.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's.
I mean, if you want to thread each slave through the handles, I just am not understanding.
Cut them off with the hips.
The good news is we have the slaves. The bad news is they're not in one piece. But
or because it's hindering his ability to do anything, he also might be pulling straps off the armor and using that.
That's fair.
As he's slowly pulling pieces off.
That's fair.
So I imagine it's probably going to take him a round or two, but he's got his weight on the door while he's pulling armor off and using it to.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair. All right. So as you do that, Gore sort of sees your action, and you see that he almost like he's about to take a step forward, and then sees that he's still got two. Sorry, she's back there. That he's got two people on him, and so he turns back to you, River, and says, "You'll feel the first pain," and swings at you twice.
I think you'll find my dog felt the first pain, but okay.
Your dog's not important. No, I didn't even say
Don't
that.
count the monkeys, Johnny.
20 and 25.
Yeah, those will both hit.
That's what I say. Don't count the monkeys.
Yikes.
Oh my god. All right, well, that is going to be 20 points of damage between those two hits.
Jesus. Okay, that brings me down to 2.
Yep. It's like he just like swings at you, you know, and then he sees you're kind of like, you know, your amount of blood, and then kind of and laughs and says, "Your courage will be your end." And then these slaves kind of throw themselves forward even more against the door, and you can now see that there's sort of an even straining. I need you to make an athletics check for me here, Tani, / just strength check, not a saving throw, but a check, as there are creatures outside trying to get in. Okay, so you push back with all of your strength, and there's this kind of like almost a surprise, like, you know, because it was easier a moment ago. And then there is this pushback, and you see something, basically you're kind of pushing back, and then this blade comes right out in front of your face, like, and you're like, oh, yeah, exactly. As it's doing that, and then you're still like kind of pushing back, but they are not through yet. Okay. There is, okay, so we're going to go to the top. I'll do at least one more round here. Okay, River, you are obviously, you've felt better. He's also very hurt, but not quite as hurt as you, I think.
Okay. I'm just going to take that as a compliment.
Oh, yeah, it should be.
And
this is a big boy, this guy.
She's just going to let her axes do the speaking for her. Unless anyone, I don't know if anyone wants to be inspiry or not, but nah, she's just still attacking. It's just that it's probably going to be her last round, so she's just going to take a deep breath and attack again.
Okay. Yes, and Terry makes a good point about the inspirations from people for some of these.
Right.
Oh, you still have an inspiration. Don't forget, don't you? River?
Me didn't. I mean.
Or no, you used it. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon.
I used it. Yeah.
You used it. Never mind. Never mind.
It's
It was a
one of
good
the
time
things
to use
where-
it. You used it
yeah.
the right time. Never mind. My
I
bad.
used it, didn't need it as it turned out, but used it nevertheless, and it
Yeah.
was dramatically
Impressive. No, it was. Yeah,
So
for sure. Never mind.
instead,
So everyone it's an inspiration-rich environment. There are a lot of people to inspire. All right, go ahead.
not today, orc.
2 hits. Yep.
Okay.
14. All right. So he is now extremely hurt, but is not dead yet. He kind of is just like, "Argh!" And kind of again just. "Argh!" Stone, in the meantime, is over. So he is at this point moved back, sort of back and forth, sniffing, up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top again. And doesn't seem to be finding anything in either direction. But at a certain point, you notice that he kind of sniffs and looks up and looks back at you and then starts wagging his tail. Seems like a very odd time to do that. But you don't entirely know what that means, and you'll have to think about what that might mean in the next round. Okay, that leads us to Inga, who is got this guy who's definitely
Come on,
hurt in front of
Inga.
him.
Yeah, like
Death blow him,
anybody
please.
want to inspire? That would be great.
Yeah, if there are any inspirations left, I know poor Nonstop had to use one of inspirations to save the people in Espergenesis in the last fight. In fairness to them, they were at a dead space, like being attacked by invisible bladed creatures, so they also needed help. It was pretty scary. It was basically it was dead space. So
As I recall, didn't he use one to help Robar as well?
and that's right. Actually, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nonstop used it to help Robar. I beg your pardon. Robar needed it at the time too.
It didn't work that well.
That was the
That's
only
true.
time it didn't work.
Five,
That's true.
yeah.
And he tell I will inspire through my words. Those are very inspirational words. Okay, it looks like we're going this straight ahead as per usual, Terry. Oh my damn! Wow! How about that?
Yes.
Wow!
That would be another
Good
14.
God! I am gonna have to. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
That was very good inspiration.
that
got.
sure was. So he
And I-
bangs his head back. Yeah, Andy Dell says that was his inspiration. So he bangs backward. He falls to one knee. Blood is pouring from anywhere and everywhere. He is not dead yet, but he looks like a stiff breeze would blow him over. He has taken, for the record, he has taken 92 points of damage to this point. He is not dead.
That sounds like a level up right there.
Yeah, he stumbles to one. He's like, "Gah!" All right, Tani. You are. Sorry, it is. No, actually, Inga, are you staying? I assume you're staying like right next to him, or?
You're staying there, but as she sees him still not being dead, she's just like, "Why won't you die?"
Exactly. Why won't you die? And he says, "You know what happens to someone hit by a stone?" Okay.
No,
So, Tani,
no,
same as everything else.
we are not going with that movie. The line. We are going with V for Vendetta, where they're in the subway towards the end. He's like, "Why won't you die?"
Yeah.
That's the
Also
why won't you
solid.
die we're going with.
Also solid, agree. All right, Tani, you are on the door. Again, you can feel there is more and more, like you can hear the sounds now. There's got to be 15, 20 orcs outside now.
Right.
Oh,
So I'm gonna-
River's gonna call out, actually, if it's a free action, she'll say, Stone found something.
Okay.
If it's helpful.
And I'm gonna
Are
take
you
the dungeon.
quiet?
Yeah, your
What?
mic got quiet just there, Mel.
Oh,
Oh yeah. And Trent is going to take the dungeon master suggestion and at that stiff breeze, kill him.
Yeah, not stiff enough though. You're like, oh.
Do you have to pick up one of the slaves and throw him at him?
I can
Projectile slave, great. I like how you guys came here in the first place to try to save the slaves, and now they have become tools to escape this temple of doom.
Teamwork, man! Teamwork!
If Tawny gets any bit enraged, he's just going to grab one of them and be like, "You want out of here or not?"
It goes 4 slaves enter, 3 slaves leave. That's how it
Right,
goes.
exactly. See which one of you got loose that we could leave behind easily.
Oh man.
Now, what I was tempted to do until the River said something was when the blade came through, I was very tempted to just go, just bend
Yep.
it against the door.
Yep. Yep.
Amazing.
But
Man should have a hammer, man. If he had a hammer.
Mhm.
he's got a staff that's
Hammering.
almost the same thing. It's just the handle, really, of a really long hammer.
A Final Fantasy like hammer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Which would mean he couldn't enter the temple because it'd be too large in the Final Fantasy.
he's like leaning in forward, like, hang on.
Yeah, exactly.
There is,
Like
there is
he's-
one of the slaves who can move on his own could potentially go to the back, I suppose, and investigate.
Yeah, I think that's what Tawny's gonna do. He's gonna
Oh,
tell the one slave who's not connected to any more
Right.
other slaves. Is he's gonna look at him and indicate stone and be like, see what he's found, and then
He sort of looks at you and nods mutely.
he's gonna continue to try to
Now-
secure the door.
Are you? And let me ask you: are you doing anything actively in doing that? Are you just pushing back? Are you? Because there is a gap in the door right now. Like, are you? If you had a grenade, throw it in and then try to. But I mean, you don't have that, so.
It's true. I don't have a grenade because it's Tolkien.
Because Tolkien, right?
If it weren't, this would be a very different fight.
a wizard battle could potentially have grenade-like items, I suppose. But yeah.
True, but yeah, it happens.
Firework.
Even in Helm's Deep, they use examples of that, but this is not that situation.
I think if Tawny were a wizard, he would just put the end of his staff out through there and just light burst on everybody.
Yeah,
and
just wait for the screaming to stop. But
Yes,
unfortunately,
that's not the case. So
that's fine. If you just want to keep holding it back, I just didn't know if you were.
yeah, he's basically just gonna not for the moment. He's going to kind of rely on the stuff he's been attaching to the handles to try to keep it from getting too far out.
Okay.
To lean back just a bit and then drive, into the door again.
Okay. All right. So he does that. Now Gore goes. So he sort of like staggers to 1 foot. He kind of like, and then he yells, "Get in here, you maggots!" Seems to be yelling towards the door, and then is going to swing at Inga, who is just brought down furious death and vengeance upon him. That is going to be an 18 and a 26, and at the moment Inga's away from her desk.
Very, very stealthy.
Yeah. There we go. So Inga, you just got hit by the guy. 18 and 26. Is that both? Either going to hit both?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
6.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. 18 and 26. You said yes.
Yes.
Yes, they both did.
Oh my God. All right. He just put a lot of damage into that. He does 25 points of damage to you on
alive.
those hits. Yeah. Finally, you actually. So you can bleed, he says. If you can bleed, you can kill it. Looking at the god known as Inga. All right. So he does that, but he again slumps back down to one knee. Like he's just, So this guy is moving in this direction. And then you see he sort of turns and looks. He's going back to look at what Stone's looking at, and then he sees Gore sort of on one knee. And you can see Inga, you're the one. Actually, both of you, I guess. Oh, no, I'll say Inga because she's got a better angle at this. You can see his eyes harden, and he runs forward, just runs right at this guy. And he throws himself at him. Now, as he does so, Gore brings up his axe and basically slices across the guy's midsection. But the momentum of the guy who's running at him bashes the other end of this axe blade into Gore's throat. So he just slash and falls down to the ground. The slave kind of on top of him. And the slave, who's terribly hurt, you can see sort of lying on top of the body, kind of looks at both of you and says, "Thank you for let me die free." And then dies on top, expires on top of the guy, as does Gore. we're going to cut away now to Robar.
I hate you so much! Oh my god!
There was the kill steal, I guess.
No!
Yep.
Yeah, okay, also a kill steal.
Also that, but then...
Angry on so many levels.
Exactly. You see the experience on his head going up, like, God, son of a...
I
Okay.
don't even know if experience works that way in this universe. Does it? Do we actually get experience from kills? I thought we only
No. We use the milestone
Yeah,
system, which is a much better system in a lot of different ways.
But, oh my god, no! We're trying to
He was clear. You can tell that he was clearly. He just looked like there was no something had just been triggered in him about all that he had been through. You doubt very much that you could have held him back if you had tried.
We were so close to killing him without
Yep.
him dying.
Well, he was so close to killing you too, as far as that goes.
That doesn't matter.
We don't matter. What matters is this. Okay.
Meanwhile, hundreds of leagues to the north, in a beautiful, idyllic scene.
Correct.
No hardship at all.
We find ourselves with Robar. Now, this is temporarily a couple of days actually, before the incidents that we're describing. In case you're curious, this is the moment where you had just come to the edge of the Gladden Fields, the rest of the group. And Robar right now is sitting next to some of the people that are with him. We have here, as I quickly run to get my names,
I remember her.
we have got Melina, who is there with him. And then also, what did we say? Astil?
Asted, I think I wrote down. Yeah.
Asted, okay. And then also, all right. And speaking of, I remembered what book I had this in. Yes. Okay. We had Asted. We also had Thunar. Now, for those of you, just to give a quick recap of what happened in the solo session. So this covers the time that Robar actually left the party. Most of the Fellowship went south to deal with what was happening in the Gladden Fields. But Robar was called to the north because his sister, Melina, needed aid. This is someone who, if you've been watching these sessions, has been leaving a bread trail, a trail of breadcrumbs, right, for him to follow. And finally, he had gotten information from a butterfly who told it to a sparrow, who told it to an eagle, that Melina needed his aid. And when he arrived there, here in the East Upper Vales, right around here, what Robar ended up discovering was that his sister was apparently imprisoned by a terrible human known as Vigland. This would remind you a little bit of the Valter situation, in that Vigland apparently has been trying to build up a group of people, a group of fighters and bandits with which he can try to take over much of Wilderland. But Vigland is a lot more of a bigger deal than Valter is in a lot of ways. Number one, he has a lot more people, as Robar discovered himself when he actually got a chance to scout out the area. Number two, Vigland has heard of what happened with Valter and has therefore become, if possible, even more cautious and paranoid than before. And so when he arrived, Robar, at the scene, he was told all of this by two people and the followers of those people. One was Thunar, who was one of Vigland's warrior companions and was one of the best friends of Vigland's son, a man named Viglar. He told the story that when they had been hunting together, Thunar and Vignar, they were attacked by an enormous boar, which gored Thunar in the side and basically pushed him into this ravine. And rather than trying to save him, they basically escaped with their lives. And so Thunar was bitter and angry and cynical and vowed revenge, and discovered, while he was in the process of healing, and it took him almost a year to heal from this terrible wound, discovered someone else who had left the camp of Vigland, Vigland's daughter, whose name was Asted, who had been betrothed to Othbald, who was a brute of a man who was probably abusive to her, and definitely she could not deal with him, and she felt that her father, she no longer recognized him. Basically, he had become too cruel. And so she abandoned him and fled and ended up finding Thunar. Pretty clearly, although Robar never asked, they had struck up a relationship, first a friendship and then a relationship. And so after some hard work and persuasion, Robar was able to persuade Thunar to trust him. And so Thunar, with a couple of his men, he has a small group of men himself, basically people who were disgruntled with Vigland's leadership. They went to find this camp. What they discovered was this camp right along the eaves of northern Mirkwood, which is indicative to him of how far the Elven King has had to pull back his people, because, 10, 15 years ago, the Elven King would never have allowed a place like this to be anywhere in Mirkwood, let alone in a place that was supposedly within, basically the woodland realm. And yet, this is the far border of northern Mirkwood, and so the Elven King does not have a presence here the way that he used to. So there was a longhouse here, along with a number of tents, and in the center of that camp was Melina herself, who was just sort of lifelessly suspended from this cross of wood where she'd been roped with her wrist, beaten, obviously hurt badly, and having been presumably tortured and so forth. So the decision was made, the plan was made, there's a lot of people inside this camp. And so the decision was made to try to walk forward with Thunar as the prisoner while Robar was holding on to him. He walked forward with him. It worked so that he was able to at least release his sister, and Thunar sent one of his men around to create a distraction. They did. It was the one that this party should be familiar with because it involves setting camp on fire. So we've certainly heard that before. And so in the ensuing distraction and so forth, they managed to stumble forward. Now, Robar and Melina would probably not have made it out were it not for the fact that, because they actually saw Vigland. Oh, I'm sorry, I left something out. Before that, I beg your pardon, before that, Thunar agreed to help him only if he would help him get revenge on Vigland's son. And so he actually did ambush Vigland's son, Viglar, and ended up defeating him in pretty much solo combat. It was a close thing. He had to roll really well, and Robar did, but he did defeat him. So Viglar is now dead, although Vigland didn't know that yet. Now, in the camp, they were leaving. Vigland came out, a huge man, this massive tower shield, looking really dramatically impressive, and was basically striding towards them. And it was Thunar himself in that last hour who basically came running in, told Robar to take care of Aistid, and then basically took on the whole camp. Who knows what happened, but, and so Robar was able to just escape barely with Melina, where Aistid and Thunar's remaining men took down the rest of the people that have been pursuing them. And so this is about a day later, we're going to say. Melina has been recovering and is trying to basically kind of get herself together. And you are sitting with her, Robar. And you have a chance if you wish to talk to her. So timeline-wise, this is now where the party would have been in the middle of the Gladden Fields, just probably before they actually saw the Dwimmerhorn. So this is about the actual fortress Dwimmerhorn. So this is about a days before the events that you just heard with the combat.
Okay. Yeah, I just come over to her and say, how are you feeling?
And she nods and smiles and she says, better, somewhat better now. I'm sorry that I had to call you like this, Robar. I wanted our meeting to be under better circumstances. I had a dream that we would meet at our home when it had been rebuilt, not here after we've lost more people.
Hence all the cryptic messages.
She nods, and she says, Robar, I don't know if you know what happened to us. I mean, the family fell, father died, but if you knew what was said about us afterwards, did you ever find out what they said of the Stauntons?
Can't say that I did. I mean, to any that I mention it, they seem not to remember, or if they do, only of distant memory.
And she nods. She says, yes. The ones that do remember do not speak well of us, Robar. They say that we abandoned them, We allowed creatures like this Vigland to take over the west and then the east upper vales. They say that we should have been one of the bulwarks against Gundabad, and that instead our weakness, our human frailty allowed us to let them sweep over us unabated. They blamed us, Robar, and I came to believe they might be true in what they said.
I see. Well, if it is up to you and I, then we will not abandon them again. But it may not be up to you and I. Our family has fallen. And now that you're safe, well, this Vigland, certainly, he's a villain. But is he any longer any of our concern?
And she says, "Isn't that the problem? Always we have been concerned with our own affairs, always to our own borders, our own land. You are not old enough to remember, but I am, Robar. I remember what it was like when Father said that the business of Gundabad was not our concern, that the business of the Misty Mountains was not our concern, that what happened in Mirkwood was not our concern, and the result is what you see, Robar. It is you and me, last parts of a family." And she just shakes her head and she says, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just mean that I've got a lot of irons in the fire right now. A bunch of close friends of mine are also probably in danger right now if I know them. They are similarly working on this issue, although not so directly with Vigland, but against the darkness that grows. They would do well to meet you, I'm sure, and you them. And as you say, if we're going to do something about this bandit king, then we're going to need some allies. They're friends of Beorn, of woodfolk, dwarves. Perhaps they would listen.
And she kind of tilts her head and nods a little bit and says, "We could use allies, but the problem is," and she says, "the reason I was captured in the first place was that when they came to Black Tom, I think you probably met him if you came here.
I remember him.
When he came to Black Tom, they demanded his fealty and his obedience. I had come asking for aid in the rebuilding of our estate, and when I saw the look on his face after that man came from Vigland, I knew how wrong I was to be thinking of us when we need to think of others. How could I be thinking of just our home when those we were meant to protect, the ones who made a home worth having, were suffering? You can see the result. I am one of the Dunedain, but not strong enough, it seems. And yet, here we are. Vigland is not defeated. Your friends are still in danger. And we are pulled in all directions at once. I do not know what to do, Robar. If I go with you now, if I try to help your friends..." And she kind of lifts her arm, with her one arm, I should say, is in a sling, basically one of the arms that, because, she was hanging, like, for a long time, and she says, "I will be of no use to you in a fight, not now. And yet, if I let you go here..." And she shakes her head, she says, "Vigland will demand vengeance when he finds what has happened to his son. Perhaps we have days, maybe weeks, but he will strike again. And yet there are your friends." And she kind of shakes her head and says, "I will do what you say, Robar, but my heart would be with you. Yet my head and my duty says I must help these people, Aested and Thunar's men and the rest, and Black Tom and his. But I do not know what I must do."
And yet also, I swore an oath to Funar before he left that I would look after Aested as well. And I am loath to leave you after so long apart, and so far ventured as well. And yet I promised my friends that I would return as well. I find myself torn. But tell me, when he finds out of his son's fate, what will his next move be? Surely if you flee into the woods or hide, perhaps, somewhere safe, would that not be better than facing him with his full strength?
She smiles and she looks around, and you can see that although you were a little bit of a distance from the camp where you had been the day before, and around you there is greenery and blue sky and clouds overhead and the call of hawks in the air, she says, "All this, Robar, it seems there is no evil here. And yet," and then she points back to the camp where there is, of course, blood of, the battle with Thunar's men and the stragglers that were chasing you from Vigland's camp. And she says, "And yet, even here in nature, our folly is presented, painted, as it were, on a map of our folly, Robar. There is no safe place now." And she says, but kind of like lowers her eyes, then says, "Perhaps I could take Aested, the rest of Thunar's men. I have not told her this, but she must suspect that Thunar will not have survived."
In her heart of hearts, I think she knows.
She says, "I will take them with me across the Anduin back to Black Tom's. There at least there are walls and some comparative safety. If you must go to help your friends, then I would ask only this: help them, save them, but then bring aid back to us as quick as you may. Perhaps we will buy ourselves 2 weeks, but after that, there will be little of us to find, and then there will be no Stauntons but you in the world."
2 weeks. On Eagle, I can manage that.
And she says, "Will you be able to bring aid, my brother?"
I will. I swear it.
Next to you, by the way, not far off, is, as promised, the eagle that brought you here, who had said that he would wait and did. And in fact was one of the people that helped attack, you might remember. And he sort of comes over to you, walking carefully on his bird feet, hopping forward a couple spaces, and then says a couple of feet, and says, "I have heard your conversation. I do not know what my lord will ask, but if you will, I will bring you to your companions, and then go advise him of what we have found. Perhaps he will bring aid if you wish. He does owe you a boon for your help of him."
That is most kind, friend. And yes, I would plead your lord and entreat him to see to this affair of Vigland and my sister. But my friends, they will likely need me as well. And if I am to return with them, then I must first find them. And so if you would do me the honor of taking me back to them, I would be in your debt.
He nods and says, "More swiftly than the wind itself will I carry you. You may get upon my back when you are prepared."
I turn to Melina then and take one of her hands in mine and say, "This is not the last time we will see one another."
And she nods and then stands up and kind of embraces you, and says, "Of all the bonds that we possess, Family is the strongest, Robar. Do not forget it.
I have something of yours. And I go into my pocket and get out the little elven kind of bauble, I guess, that she left for me.
And
I'll take it and say, I'll be having this back next time I see you, okay?
And she takes it back and smiles, and she says, I'm glad. I meant this for a gift for you. Now I will keep it as a reminder of your gift to me. You came when I called. I will not forget it, Robar.
And I nod and say to Aested, she'll look after you. And God's willing, I'll see you again as well. 2 weeks' time.
Aested nods and comes up to you and puts her hand on your shoulder and says, thank you for doing what you could for Thunar. In a way, I always knew this would probably be his end. But at least he died with meaning and died with some chance to extinguish the bitterness in his heart. For that I am grateful.
He died with honor. That's more than any of us can ask.
And she nods and steps back. Several of Thunar's men sort of come up and also, kind of clap you on the shoulder, the ones that fought with you, and bid you do well. And then the eagle cries, time calls us, Robar and the wind.
Very well. Then farewell, friends. I will be seeing you shortly. And I'll, jump up on the back of the eagle and set off back to find my friends.
As you take off, the eagle spirals around as it rises up into some updrafts and thermals and then heads off to the south. And you, as you look down, have the image of Aested standing next to Melina. Melina with her good arm sort of around the shoulders of Aested. Aested and Melina apparently have been friends, and you can see them both watching as your eagle soars away into the distance. And it may just be a trick of the light as you were heading off to the south, but you think you see the sparkle of the elven crystal that she has sparkling long after it seems possible to be able to see them in visual form. The eagle travels at incredible speed. If you went fast on the way down, it's even faster, it seems, on the way back. You soar again back over past the Eagle's Eyrie. You soar past the Carrick in the Anduin, all the way, this time straight south, not from Mountain Hall, but actually straight south and over the woods. The only thing you know about where to look, actually, as you head this way, the only way that you have to look, really, Robar, is that you know the Dwimmerhorn was somewhere in Gladden Fields, but how do you want to sort of ask the eagle to proceed? Like, what exactly are you looking for? You've never seen the Dwimmerhorn directly, although, of course, you know of it. So what are you asking him to look for as you head into the marshes? I guess
I would describe it to him as best as I could. And then, well, he's come here before, correct? Or was that...
He's been in the Gladden Fields. I don't know that he's seen the Dwimmerhorn, though. Well, you know what? Yeah, you know what? You're old enough that you might have seen it before, but you've never been to it. The problem with the Dwimmerhorn is that it is said that it moves, whether that's true or not. But it's often said that it's hard to find in the same place. But if you want to give him the approximate, thing where you saw it last, you could definitely do that if you wish.
Yeah, I think I'll try and give him, as best as I can, the sort of coordinates. Okay.
I'm going to ask you to make several perception check for me, please, as you are on the back of this eagle. Basically, you're GPSing it, right? Like over the top of this thing.
Perception is...
Or EPS, Eagle Positioning System. Okay. Yeah. So as you're going around, you see there's definitely a marshy area. You see some interesting things, Robar, in that you see some moving figures in different spots. The marshes, of course, themselves are mostly dead, but you see moving figures in different spots within the marshes, and I mean different sort of human figures. You see one who is trying to make his way. Seems to be just just one individual person, kind of heading in one direction. You see another individual who is farther off and seems to be moving up to the north. You see what looks like maybe several groups of humanoids moving along, could be orcs down there. And then finally you see what looks like something rising out of the mist, which is presumably the Dwimmerhorn itself, and you can see this actually on stream. The fog and everything means that you have to be a little bit closer to the ground than you might generally like. I mean, you're not like 5 feet from it, but you're a little bit lower than normal to get below the cloud cover. And as you are coming, sort of heading up from the Dwimmerhorn, you can hear this low, and we're going to switch this up here. You hear this low sound of a bell ringing out from the inside of this place, which is on top of the Dwimmerhorn. The Dwimmerhorn looks like this sort of strange, almost fortress, might be the way to describe it. It is this, as I sort of pull this stuff up here, it is this place that has... it's on the black rock of the Dwimmerhorn. So there is this low curtain wall that encircles several buildings. And the largest building is this ghastly temple of black stone that you can see towards the right of the picture there. That, I mean, you can't tell exactly, but that seems to be where the sound of the bell might be coming from, is there.
Yeah, I'll kind of like point towards it while I'm on the back leaf with my hair flying like mad.
Yeah.
Down there!
And the eagle says, that place is evil. There are, no doubt, many orcs there. Are you sure?
That'll be where they are!
The eagle sort of nods once and then says, very well. Then into death we will go, as it is. And so kind of puts his wings back. And you just plunge towards the Dwimmerhorn as the bells get louder and louder. Robar, I'm going to ask you to roll initiative here.
Okay. Sorry, what was the check I'm making?
Initiative.
Initiative. Oh,
the check is a very simple one. It's initiative.
And I'm right at the end.
That fits. No, that fits. I mean, Okay. I was almost typing in your name, and then I realized I didn't have to. One thing I should...
We heard how well you were rolling when you were apart from us.
Yep.
It's always the case.
It was always... So, Robar, so you are back up to full hit points because you got a long rest in after this thing. So you're at 35 out of 35.
Yeah. Sweet.
Okay. Don't get hit by ground-to-air ballistas. I was seriously thinking about it, yeah. Okay. So we will deal with that in a moment. All right, we are back to the top of the round. In the meantime, Gore has... Let me get you back over to the map here where you folks all are. It is not that map.
It was such a nice respite from the gonging.
Yeah, I thought it was,
Like, it was nice.
Yep, there was a moment of peace, and now you're back into the crap. Gore is... Oops, sorry. Gore, which I just put some actual gore on him. That's not what I meant to do. Okay. Gore is lying dead, as is the slave on top of him. And we are back up to the top of the round, actually, appropriately. And River, you notice that we're still in initiative here, but you do notice that Stone is wagging his tail and is looking more and more excited, and like jumping up and down and, very excited about something.
She is going to head over to him and see what is what.
Okay. Yeah, gore is gore. So when you go over there, you don't notice anything. It seems as if Stone is like jumping up and down and starts barking, and he's barking out the window, like looking up at the window, and he seems to be like jumping up and down, wagging his tail furiously about something outside the temple. You don't notice anything inside the temple here.
All right. Yes, that is where we want to go. So she's looking. So she also will look up at the window for a second. Is anything gonna enticingly?
No, you don't see. Yeah, you see like
Okay.
floating by. No, you don't see anything.
Arrows.
What is the? No, you don't see anything
Okay.
out there.
So it doesn't look like there's any like loose brickwork or anything that can allow them to head out this way.
Not obviously, although you would have to do a actual investigation to determine for yourself, but not obviously. And Stone is clearly not trying to show you anything like that. He seems to be
he's
excited
excited.
about something outside.
Okay. So River will call out. Stone seems to think there's something exciting outside. Whether that's just
Not wrong.
No.
Right as the like blades are like coming through.
Uh,
Accurate.
right. So how okay, can you tell me about the layout of the windows? Like how far up are they and stuff?
Yeah, the windows are probably about, I would guess about 10 feet up, maybe 12. So you could probably, if you were, lift it up, or you could lift up Inga, or vice versa, could probably get up enough that you could see out of the window, probably. And as I said, you could probably get through it. Maybe Stone could, probably Inga could, Tani could not get out these windows. If they even open, you don't know yet.
Okay. Well, I mean, any window will open if you smash it.
I mean, you could smash it, yes, for sure.
But yeah. Okay. All right. So River is going to she's gonna head over to the door as well. Assuming this is all stuff she can do on her turn, even though we're
Depends on what you're going to do now. You're running out of things to do.
Right. So, okay, sorry, before she goes anywhere, she's going to just call to the others and say, all right, there's good news and bad news. The good news is, Gore is dead, and there's very little separating us from outside, where, where something really good might be happening. The bad news is, the only way I can see to get there is through these tiny windows. Unless we go through the door that you're holding shut against probably dozens of orcs. If not many more than that.
Oh.
So, I'm open to suggestions. What do you want to do?
And you can't have a full conversation, but you could each shout something out back to her if you wish.
Yeah.
Like basically Inge, well, like as soon as she saw like Gore dropping dead, Inge would have run to the door and also helped
Okay.
keep it shut basically, so.
Okay, so she can do that on her turn, which is coming now anyway. While you're doing that, are you yelling anything back to the river, or?
Sorry, just
Like, I guess, like, some of us could, like, the ones of us that do fit through there could, like, get outside and, like, try
sorry.
attacking the orcs from there.
Just
What?
1 second. My cat is trapped in the. Oh, there we go. There we go.
That's very appropriate. Just
Yeah.
at this moment,
Yeah.
the orcs are like.
No!
I'm just gonna let the poor thing out. I'm sorry. 1 sec.
That's
You're not
funny.
at work. You want to go out? Oh, good boy. Sorry, I kept hearing this high-pitched mewing, and I was like, "What? Where? What? There's no cat in this room," but the cat was hiding in the closet.
In the closet.
Yeah.
All
No
right.
one should stay in the closet.
No. Yes.
I was trying not to make a joke about
I was like,
this.
I just.
I was waiting for it.
Sorry. The cat is out of the closet. Right. Sorry. What did I miss?
Just so Inga talking about, like, I don't actually know what you were saying back because I got distracted by the cat. What were you saying, Terry? Back to her.
Like basically, well, one of us could like try to get out and try to distract the orcs from outside.
Oh, actually, what River will do, if she can on her turn, is she can actually free another slave. Probably she can break someone's chain.
Not with. You can do that next turn if you want, but you can't do that after going back talking to Stone. You know, you can't.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but you can start heading back in that direction. Okay. So Inga, you are holding the door and you yell that out. Tani, that's going to lead us.
That the guys were still in chains. Can I do that instead? I completely forgot.
Sure,
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
do that. Yeah, you
At
can do
the
that.
end of my turn.
What was going on? Okay, so like instead of going to the door, she went to the slaves and started shopping.
Well, the slaves are at the door. So
I'm going to move you,
Yeah.
River, a little bit because you're not quite
Okay.
there. You're heading back that way. Okay.
So,
This
when
is
you
going to
want
sound
to-
stupid, but between the chain between these two female slaves or the chain between the male and the female up here, it's just basically like.
Probably the two women because they're closer.
Okay, make the attack roll then.
Yeah,
She
I
did.
did.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So this one is now released. You can see that this one seems to be very kind of like, you can see there's like tears. She has tears welling as she looks at the body of the dead slave over there. But she doesn't say anything. This one sort of, you know, looks back at you. Thank you, she says hoarsely. And she's still, of course, attached to this one up front. Okay, so that
Red,
means...
what are you doing?
Huh?
I'm brushing my face.
What?
I'm brushing.
I know,
my
I got
face.
it. I got it. I was sort of like, what? All right.
Very soothing.
So while this is actually appropriate since Tani's up. Tani, are you actually brushing your face? Is that what's happening at the moment?
If by brushing your face, or his face, my face, whatever, you mean actually straining against the door, going, "Hurry!" Okay.
Okay. You are, so go ahead and make a strength check for me, please.
Oh, good.
See you, Dragon. Thanks for stopping by, man. You message me later. Okay.
8.
Okay. So you can feel the door is beginning to widen. There's too many orcs outside now, and you can hear the sort of yelling and shrieking, you know, blades again are poking through, stuff like that. And you hear orders being yelled both in common and in the sort of orcish, so you can hear like orders being shouted. And you're like, oh, pushing back, they push at you. Okay, that leads us to Robar. So Robar, as you are swooping in with the eagle and come close, you can hear the sound now is definitely ringing, and from a distance, oh my god, not that far. I zoomed out way too far. Okay. As you are zooming in, I'm going to actually bring you... Actually, can you bring your character in, let's say, off here?
Oh, wait. Yes.
Okay.
Giant Robar.
Well, it's perspective, right? Like, he just looks that way, but as he zooms in... no, we'll actually reduce him to a rational size. So, as you're coming in, you see that there seems to be a great deal of activity around this black temple. First of all, this place is swarming with orcs. There are probably a good 70 or 80 at least that you're looking at that are all sort of rushing towards the temple. Like, there's outnumbered and then there's this. Like, you know, you're just like way too many things. And they all seem to be focusing on this temple. And you're guessing it's a temple. You can see, like, you know, basically stained glass windows and stuff like that around the outside of it. It's made of black stone. It is a very different material than the rest of the place, which looks kind of thrown together and kind of ramshackle and sort of typical orc construction. This is not like that. This looks to be something which might have been brought even from elsewhere. And you can see that there are basically orcs throwing themselves against the doors. No one at the moment is paying attention to you. Yeah, thank you, Echo, for the reminder. No one is paying attention to you yet. They haven't seen you. They're all focused down here. And they certainly can't hear you because you just hear the sound of yammering and... but they're definitely focusing their attention on this temple.
I'm gonna say...
Arf, the window with the capturing of the chat of the Roll20 chat window, like that is overlapping with like half of the action that's going on in stream.
The what? Oh, you talking about the dice
Yeah.
roller?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
that.
Sure. Gotcha.
I am going to, I'm going to kind of shout, the temple! And try and, the idea to be for us to land on top of the temple to scale them away. Because I know these creatures are pretty cowardly when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Okay.
Buzz them as you fly in.
I was gonna say, yeah. So, are you landing at the temple now? You can have the eagle do that. Are you doing something specific to scare? Like when you get to the roof.
Reveal your kingship.
I think now is the hour.
Wow. All right. How does that work? Show me how. Tell me how that looks like.
I gave away my stupid bauble. Okay.
You've still got that lightning bag, don't you?
Yeah, I think I have
never took the lightning bag.
I have the bag of lightning. So I'm gonna just swoop down, and my cape is flowing behind me.
I don't think we ever took the lightning bag. Can we just be clear about that? We never took the lightning bag.
I was making the strong case for the lightning bag for exactly this situation. And y'all were like, no, the potion's more important.
Wait, do we still have the potion? Do I have the potion?
I have it.
We
You
should
have
use
it.
that potion.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
But this, I am going to let Robar make this decision here. So go ahead.
No,
Robar.
let's say like his brooch, like his that keeps his cape together, is like the Staunton, brooch, a la the leaves of Lorraine do not idly fall. So he's gonna kind of swoop in on the eagle, cape flowing behind him, and in a booming voice, he'll shout, "Be gone!" as he lands on top of the temple, with his eyes sort of burning, seems like, down upon the orcs.
I buy it. I would run.
Yes!
Let's.
You can also invoke Elbereth if you haven't yet for inspiration, should you desire it.
Oh, sweet. Sure. I'll say Elbereth.
You just say all that, and then you're like, Elbereth. Like, all you just said.
Yes.
Right in the middle of calling all this stuff out, the eagle does his own war cry, like, dude, you're stepping on my line.
Like the eagle waits, and then it's like, caw! Like it's like right afterwards. Okay. Let me take a look and actually see. I want to double check on what the actual mechanical effect of revealing royalty.
I think I actually may have written it down here.
Did you?
Like, actually, yeah. Your allies immediately recover 1d6 plus my charisma modifier and hit points. So they gain 5 hit points.
Plus your charisma, which is
0.
Okay.
My enemies within 10 feet must make a wisdom saving throw, which is DC 15, and if they fail, they are frightened and must run away.
Yes! Oh, dude, please. Yes.
Yep.
wow. No, they all fail that like hardcore. Most of them are just like, what? Like they kind of stagger back. And you have this strange experience, Tani, as you're holding it, all of a sudden you're like, wham! Like, oh, like as if like suddenly all of the force has been taken away from the inside of the temple. There is this shouting and screaming and general confusion. The orcs fall back. Again, I'm not going to put all of them out here. You're just going to have to imagine masses of orcs, okay? The orcs fall back on them. The orcs in front, commanders are yelling at them. They're attacking. They're pointing up at you. They're just like, there's just complete chaos. And over it all, you actually see one injured man, Robar, sort of looking up at you. One human who's sort of looking up at you. He looks like he's hurt. He's got his arm bandaged, and is kind of looking up at you, glaring, sort of just staring at you. Other than that, though, this seems to have had the desired effect. Inside the temple, those of you heard clearly Robar's voice, no question about it. You gain back what we said. So each of you, and that includes Stone, gains 5 points. And now Stone's reaction makes more sense to you, River, because Stone is just loses his, like, wagging his tail furiously.
River looks at Inga right away, and just like her face lights up for a second, like, Robar! He came back!
Elbereth!
Okay.
And that's what Elbereth comes in. I think that's Elbereth. Yeah, it's definitely Robar.
Like, Inge has just like this really mix of like cocktail of emotions going on, of like relief and excitement and like
That
everything.
son of a bitch.
Yes, basically.
How dare you?
But also, I'm glad he's back. But also, screw that guy. And
Where did
also,
you get the
Basically.
eagle?
yeah. All right, now just to quickly double check. So the River's got 7 out of 32 hit points now. Yes. And Stone should have 6.
Yeah.
Inga should have 10.
Yeah.
And Tani should have 23. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, good. All right, so you have heard that. Now, Robar, you have revealed royalty. You were standing up on top, and I think that's going to take your action. I don't think it's a bonus action.
It actually
Is it a bonus action?
Action.
Oh, okay, so now's where you leap from the roof and kill hundreds, right? Is that?
Yeah.
No, what do you do? What do you do next to them? Because you are now there.
Forwards with 5 arrows.
And the eagle yells to you, Robar, and says, "We cannot fight here, Robar. Your friends, if they are within there, must escape."
How tall is this temple? Is this something I could jump off of, or am I gonna need a rope?
This temple is.
How many legs do I break?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
6
I
of
mean,
them.
You could land on a bunch of orcs, I guess. This thing
It's
is
in a Gimli, yeah.
this thing is fairly tall. You're lucky actually that it has a reasonably flat. It's not quite a flat roof, but the slope of the roof is not very extreme.
couldn't the eagle just hop down with you on it?
Yeah, I mean you could
I
try to
guess,
do
yeah.
that if you wish. There
Make it
are
lot
still a
easier
bunch
for
of.
floating people, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean the orcs below, from a distance they look like ants. From now you can see that there's a ton of orcs here. So if you have your eagle down there, you can do that. But I mean there's a goddamn lot of orcs down here on the ground. So
I guess I don't want to get killed. So I guess what I'll do is I'll just lower a rope down to
Wait a
the door.
second. So, but like, can the eagle not also do something? Like, for example, like flap its wings to like
Make wind.
make make some orcs fall.
Like a
he's not that great. A great eagle means that he is the size of one of you, not the size of
Oh.
Gwaihir the god, Gwaihir's god or something. He's not
Okay.
that big.
I'll drop a rope down and just shout down, "Get up here now!"
Okay, so you all hear that.
Alright.
And they
It's
are
me,
now.
Robar.
Yeah, how can we trust you? Like, so,
Exactly.
Cross the river to prove who you are.
if I had a nickel for every time a ranger drops a rope down in front of a temple that we're, okay. So the rope lands in front. Now, all of you, I shouldn't say all of you. Tani, you can definitely see because you're facing it. You can actually see this rope fall in front. You also see that there's mass confusion outside, and there is space now in front of the doors. This is because I said that it slammed shut, but I'm assuming you kind of pulled it open again a little bit to see what was happening. So you see this rope fall down. So you're not going to be able to do anything yet, but you can actually see that it's there. Also, I do want to point out one thing to the party. Again, because this eagle is not the size of an elephant, it will not be able to carry all of you, let alone all of you plus slaves. So I just want you to be clear about that's,
Great.
maybe you could get 2. Maybe. You're not going to get more than that. So, all right. That said, I'm going to bring this back up to the river. What are you going to do? You heard his shouted command.
Yes. So River is going to go up and try to. Her access should be able to also break a chain, right?
Yeah. Let me think about that. Yeah, I guess so. You'd have to bring them back. You'd bring them down together, basically as a single action, and you are going to have to do an attack. Yeah.
Okay.
And
But
in fact, you know
again-
what I'm going to do for this, Amel? I'm going to ask you to make this as a strength, not a dexterity, because this is not the way you would normally fight. You're
Fair.
literally trying to break. So.
Okay. Right. Okay, well in that case, let me think for a second, because is there something else she can do that is more important?
Who's
Actually, if
reading
she
the
can
map?
help. Sorry?
Sorry, no. Go on. I was thinking out loud. Never mind me. So.
Well, first she's going to actually close the distance to the door.
Okay.
But then, and I think Stone will follow her. I think she's going to just start helping slaves up the rope.
Okay.
So the ones who are already released. They're very light, presumably now, but they're also very.
They're light, and they're going to have a hard time climbing without a lot of help.
So is this also a strength thing, or is it I'm wondering if she can put someone on her back and start climbing.
Yes, I think she could do that, and that would be strength. Yes, but I think you could do that.
Okay.
Also, I
athletic.
take athletics if you have that.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's what she's going to do with the one other who is currently free, and figure that Inga is gonna, So yeah, okay. So that's what she's gonna do.
Okay. All right. See you, Anidel. Thanks for stopping by, man. All right. So go ahead and make an athletics check for me, River. And I'm going to say you're not going to be able to get all the way up the rope, but you'll be able to get up enough to see if you can get to the roof. 12 is doing it, but not doing it great. So you're able to make it up, and Robar, you're actually, I assume, looking over the edge of the, I'm guessing, the
Sure,
roof.
yeah.
So you can actually see the river, who looks like just covered in blood, looks like a mess, is kind of making her way up to you with the slave sort of clutching. Did you take which one of these? Because you
Whoever
have two
is
that are
free.
free. Well, there's two that are free.
Like one of the women. No.
Oh, no, I'm
like
sorry. I
no,
take that
one-
back. I take that back. No, you're right. They would just be the
One of them
man.
died.
It was
one
just,
is dead.
yeah, that's right. So it's this
free
one,
woman.
actually, who was free. Yep.
She's a
These
free
two are
woman,
taken
yeah.
back. So you take her up, right? So we're going to move you and her out here. All right, so she is on her way up. She's struggling a little bit from presumably loss of blood and everything else, but she's getting there. All right, so she's making her way. She's making her way up, not all the way up to the top. What is Stone doing?
Good. I think Stone is going to head up to just to where Tawny is, and yeah, he's just gonna get close to Tawny, I think, and probably be upset. But what does he do? Could he do anything else? He is. Yeah, I think he's just gonna stay there and be at the ready to guard Tawny if anything untoward happens.
Okay.
Can Stone like hold his action? Is that a thing that Stone can do?
Yeah, but you got to tell me what the specific action is. So it's if something attacks Tawny, Stone attacks that. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. So go ahead and move Stone over next to Tawny for me, please. And then that's going to lead us down to Inga's up, and then Tawny's on deck.
Yes, Inga. Oh,
What do you want to do?
Inga is gonna like try to free the other two.
Okay, go ahead and make that attack. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah!
Smash! So now the last two are free. Still with about 3 feet of chain each, but at least they're now free.
So what was Stone doing again?
He's just like snarling defensively in case anyone comes near, and is ready to attack if anyone does.
Can Inga still move?
Yes.
Okay, then Inga is also gonna like get into position to like protect Amal from like below, basically.
Okay. You can see again confusion, like tons of orcs. I mean, like again, 80, 100 more orcs, just all kind of running. You can see that some of them are starting to point and shout in your direction, but at the moment they're not being paid attention to because a bunch of people are trying to run away and run too, and so. But they are noticing you a little bit. Okay, that's going to lead us to Tawny, and then Robar's on deck. Tawny, what do you want to do?
Well, I've been trying to figure that out. Because Tawny's got to get these people up the rope. But
Are they able to climb on their own?
Not really.
No.
Not really, no. You're lucky you have them able to move on their own, let alone climb. I mean, they can hold on to your, like the one for your, arms wrapped around your neck.
Which is kind of what Tawny was thinking. Like he was going to grab the guy and be like, hold on. And then just start trying to head up the rope after.
Could do that if you want.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going to do.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to make a strength check as well, /athletics. I'm going to move.
Gonna go great.
I'm assuming you just brought the one who was right next to you, right? The guy here.
Yeah.
So okay.
Here we go. 7.
Yeah, so you're struggling. Part of it is that the rope itself is kind of creaking a little bit.
Part of it is the fact that Tawny's not that strong.
And I mean, there's also your.
He is. Oh,
It's
okay.
his weight is an issue here too because he's just a big guy like on this rope and so you're making your way up you wish it were a lot faster because you can see Robar up, and Robar you now see as the river is almost to the top, you can see that Tawny is trying to do the same thing basically with one there also. And speaking of Robar, what do you want to do?
I got this rope that I'm like helping people up on, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna try and sort of like pull on the rope to try and bring as many people up as I can.
I think if you do that, you'll be able to get the river and the slave that is on her back up to the roof. So I think you can do that. You'll also, by doing that, assist Tawny to get higher, not quite to the roof yet, but higher than he would have been otherwise.
Okay.
So I think you're able to do that. Now you did that. You can probably take one other. If you're going to move, you could do that. Although if you move, you won't obviously be able to help Tawny the rest of the way. So I don't know if you want to do that, but
yeah, I want to help Tawny.
okay. All right. So it is the slave's turn. This one kind of just falls off your neck practically. Kind of looks fearfully at the eagle, and the eagle yells and says, "How many of these are in there?" Sort of yells at you, River.
Just River doing a quick calculation as I do as well. So there's 3 slaves and the 3 of us and Stone. Right?
And he kind of tilts his head and he says, "Put that one on my back." And he's pointing to the slave that you brought up.
Right. She does.
So if you do that, which I normally would be on your turn, but I'll let it pass this time because it's really the slave's action. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
And he says, "This one has been feeding none too well of late. I can take 2 more like this, but beyond that, I will not be able to carry. You must."
That's all right.
And the slave sort of looks back and says, "If you flee down the cliff, can climb down and flee."
Yeah. Don't worry about us. Just can River. If this is a free action, she'll ask if he can, if the eagle can take them to Mountain Hall.
And the eagle nods and says, "I will do so." And then this arrow whistles above his head, and he's like, "But not if we don't get out of here. Hurry!" with the others.
Right.
Okay. So that is going to bring us up to the top, and it is in fact your turn, River. So you
River's
already,
gonna-
yeah. What do you want to do?
She wants to head back down the rope. If assuming Tawny's up. If
Tawny's
okay.
not quite up.
Then she's gonna help Tawny, and what I'm hoping is she can help him, and then for her move, just slide down the rope with something between the rope and her hands to just kind of get back down to the floor.
Okay, I think you can do that because they were pretty close. So let's do this first of all. There we go. Should have had this up a while ago.
Oh,
All right.
so cool!
All right. So okay. So all right. So the slave is now on the back.
That's my buddy.
He's my friend. There we go.
Eagle, best friend.
All right. So they are there. So you're able to help Tawny up the rest of the way. Tawny, you kind of stumble on there, and you can kind of see like one slave is already on the eagle's back. So you'll be able to decide when you actually get a chance to move what you want to do. River, you slide back down, and you can see that Ing is already down there as you slide down. Stone is also down there. Now, what Stone, as you get down, is like, you can see the orcs are. More of them now are beginning to, the ones that are yelling at the ones in front are beginning to get controlled. It looks like they're starting to maybe turn their way back towards the temple.
Okay, so she's gonna look to Inga and say, Inga, are you able to take the last person? Can you put them on your back? And you're the strongest of any of us. Okay. All right. And so what she's gonna do is put Stone on her neck and make her way back up the rope.
Okay. All right. So slide down. Okay. So we'll have you do that next turn as you're on your way back up. Inga, you're.
Wait. Why are you bringing Stone up there if the eagle is only going to cover the slaves?
Because there are no orcs up there. I mean, I don't actually. Good question. I mean, I'm sort of wondering if when the eagle takes off, if we can all be sort of clutching a rope attached to the eagle just so we can get off the temple and down the cliffside or something. But I figure just it's safer up there right now than it is on the ground, right? What do we think?
I think that's about as much of a conversation as you can have about it in the midst of it. So I think we'll have to think about that as you go up for it. Okay, Inga. So what are you doing as you're down here?
Yeah, she's basically just like grabbing the other prisoner by the arm and
Okay.
like slinging her basically over, like making her like grab her like from the back.
Right.
Like
I mean,
that-
either
that-
way,
that-
yeah, either way, River and Stone are going to be the last two on the ground.
Got it.
That's the
Okay.
main- yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
Let's go ahead and make your athletics check, please, Inga. See how fast you can climb this thing. Oh, yeah. Jesus. Make sure you go play the lottery after this, Terry. Good God. All right, so you climb, Stone whimpering in your ear. Sorry, not Stone. The slave also whimpering in your ear, as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
And you get up to the top. So you actually pull yourself over without needing other assistance, and you see the, I don't know, troubling or cool sight of the eagle with one slave already on its back. You see Robar kind of looking at you. He looks somewhat different to you also, Inga, just like very,
There's a hair dryer somewhere on
Hair is blowing.
yeah, his hair blowing. Hold on a second, because we just disconnected because of course we did. God. Give me 1 second. It'll come up and reconnect in just a moment. I have no idea what has been going on. I'm using a different server too. I wasn't using New York this time, but this is still happening more than it should. All right, hang on a second as it's trying to reconnect.
wait, where's my feather?
Your feather?
So wait for it.
Wait for it, wait for it, wait.
Oh, that's because I didn't click the button.
5. Okay, reconnect. Should be reconnecting now.
There we go. Now I should have my
Reconnection
feather
successful. Ooh! Thank you, Terry. 15 months in a row. Wow.
Wow.
Thank you.
Jump.
Thank you. All right. Well, we are back, folks. Sorry about that. I don't know why we had the disconnection. All right. Because we're going to have to be closing up shop here in just a moment. Anyway. All right. We're back. Sorry about that. Please refresh. Okay. So where were we? So
Wait.
Inga's back up on the top. You see Robar standing there, as I mentioned.
Yes, and Inga's like, just like glaring at him, you are late. And then gets out her bow and is like ready to shoot, but obviously she can't shoot that. This,
Correct.
like
A
basically
ranger
he just
arrives
like
precisely.
cancers the slave woman and like gets out a bow and is like ready.
I'm just imagining Inga staring at Robar going, "You're late."
Yeah, for just a moment, like, and
Just
then.
for a second.
and then Robar's like, I was busy.
Oh my God,
It's
that's
just like, could you finish this lover's quarrel later, please?
yeah. It's like, we're a little busy at the
Quarrel,
moment.
get it? Quarrel?
Oh,
Quarrel?
that's cute. That's cute.
Very glad River didn't hear that. Probably.
A bundle of arrows is a quarrel.
I know. Yes, it was very,
Nice.
very good.
Nice.
Okay, so Tani, you were up next, and so you were up on the roof, as I said.
Okay, well, Donnie's grabbing these two last slaves and pushing them toward the eagle.
I think you're able to put them both on, probably.
Okay.
And they're now on the back of the eagle, looking very nervous, like they're all like holding on for dear life. And the eagle says, "All right, very well. I cannot carry you, but there is a way. I see it. When we came in, the other side of the rock, you could climb down that way."
I can't carry it for you. I can
Carry you.
No, you can't. Get out.
Like, go the other way around right now.
Yeah.
Can't carry you, but I can carry these people for you.
So, Tani, it was your action to put him on there, but you could respond to the eagle if you wanted
Yeah,
before.
I'm going to. But
Okay.
he is talking about the path that we came up, right?
It seems like. I mean, you don't know, but you would guess.
Probably, yes. And so he's basically like, just go.
And the eagle sort of looks nervously at everybody, and then, or not nervously is not the way to put it, but
He looks at the slaves and don't counter lean. For motorcyclists.
Slave's
they
like, "What does that mean?" Okay. And I love this effect of being at Roll20 to be able to do this. And the eagle takes off, and you can see, that as the eagle takes off, there are arrows flying around, like as they're coming up there. And as we are prepared to go to the top, the situation is you can see the river and Stone are down below. You can see Inga and Robar and Tani, you were on top of this temple. And as the orcs begin to surge forward, Lockmond strides forward. Again, his arm is obviously injured and so forth. And he says, "Rats in a trap! Rats in a trap, all of you. Bring them down! And that is where we will put this session on hold for today. And so next week's session, we will see how they make their escape. But at least the NPCs survived, okay? That's, I think, what really...
That's the main thing.
That's the main thing here. Wow, guys. So this was quite something. There was a lot going on here. Everyone did, I think, very well under the circumstances. There was a lot of stuff being thrown at you at once, but this was going to be a difficult thing. And actually, Part 7, it's funny you mentioned that, Aradinel, because Part 7 of the adventure is literally called Fly You Fools. So it literally is called that way, and I think that's appropriate. So I will start, as per usual, at the bottom of the column with Amal. Wonderful stuff today, Amal. You got some good combat in. You took some big hits yourself. He was a big guy that you were fighting. How'd you feel about today, and where will the fine people see you next? Besides here, of course.
I feel
I have feelings.
I have feelings. I have more feelings than I have words. That was really intense and really amazing. How many hit points did that orc have in the end?
97.
Goals.
No, 93. Sorry, 93.
93. That's good.
Yep.
So it was. I'm just out of curiosity. Was that a level thing, or was that this particular orc thing?
He's a badass orc chieftain fighting in his home turf, and you guys actually rolled pretty well against this badass orc chieftain.
I mean, we were doing close to max damage almost every turn. So that was. I mean, what I loved about that actually was that it felt like the inspiration of like invoking Elbereth actually carrying through onto the rest of the stuff, which I thought was really
That's
cool.
100% true. I should say, by the way, that you having him inside the temple helped, because had he been outside, presumably his leadership and stuff could have actually made problems with the other orcs. So in a way, it worked out fairly well. So yeah.
Yes. Seeing Echo Alpha saying only one verbal inspiration, it was
quite ballsy. Yes,
ballsy.
yes.
Very well
I
done.
see what you did there.
I see it also. I do. So I was really nervous at first about just like the touch and go. Like, do we shut the door or do we try to run out right away? I'm gonna go with I think shutting the door was the right call, just because it meant we were fighting one interminable dude instead of 100 more terminable dudes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hooray Eagles, hooray rescue! I'm extremely heartbroken still over the NPC who threw himself on the axe and stuff.
Yeah.
We were so close, but maybe he wouldn't have been able to get onto the eagle anyway.
It's one of those maybe can't save them all type of things, right?
But we're hardly saving any of them.
You saved 3. I mean,
dozens of people dead in that pit. Oh,
Yeah.
anyway.
And in a way, he saved us.
That's true.
Right. True.
So that was very cool. Anyways, it was amazing. I thought Stone did extremely well. I'm very, very nervous about what happens next, because I'm still like, damn it, but Eagle, there are better, like, what if we just literally dangled off to just getting out of this spot? But anyway, it's cool. I'm very exhilarated and talky and stuff. And yeah, there might be sushi after this, but it won't be desperation sushi.
Good. It'll be saved some of the slave sushi.
yeah. But anyways, that was awesome. Where people can find me next. So I'm on Twitter at Tithenai, Tithenai. I have a drip account that's I'll put a link to later on. Some exciting things are coming up travel-wise, but they will not be until a bit later. I'm going to be, if there's anyone from Montreal, I'm going to be in Montreal March, sometime in mid-March. There's going to be an event that I'm sure I'll be able to give more specifics on later. But yeah, exciting. I'm going to table the exciting travel stuff, actually. Just find me on the internet. I've been watching a lot of movies from times past. Like I watched The English Patient recently and Out of Africa for weird homework. So live tweeting is a thing that I've been doing a lot lately if you're into that sort of thing. So yeah, find me there and see you next week.
Good stuff. Thank you, Amal, as always. Moving right up on the line, Terry. Also, I mean, what can I say? Like all of you were hitting, but like there were a couple of you had a couple of critical hits in there. Like, good God. Then you finally got hit. Like you're like, oh wait, it's the taste of my own blood. I don't know what this is. So you finally got hit by something. How'd you feel about today, and where will the fine folks see you next?
Yeah, this was fun. Well, I'm glad we are not dead yet. Glad about all these critical hits I was able to let, and I'm so glad that Robar is back.
Yep.
But we are going to get that to that next next week.
If you survive.
If excuse me. When
That
we
was so
survive.
mean.
Yeah, if Lillimon survives. Sorry, that's what I actually meant.
Sorry, I'm stealing back for a second just to be like, I am so happy that you got to reveal a kingship in this specific way. Like that was on a black evil temple by an eagle with like the only thing that could have made it better is if you had listened to me and taken the lightning bottle, but that's anyway, that's all.
Oh,
So
man.
sidebar.
Yeah, like this was a lot of fun. I don't want to stop here. I want to keep playing. I want to see what happens next.
I know. Next week it will happen.
Yeah. Too long.
It's true. And the fine people see you next where? Besides this.
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, next Tuesday. Other than that, I've been a bit quiet regarding social media lately, but like in general, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Pillowforge now. All under the name TariToons. Same thing. For those of you who don't know yet what Pillowfort is, it is a very new website, a blogging website, and it's kind of like currently built up to be like the spiritual successor to Tumblr since Tumblr committed suicide. So, yeah, that's somewhere where you can find me from now on.
Very cool. Thank you, Terry. Great stuff as always. As I said, Will, you were it was not, it was a little late, but your arrival was,
Precisely when.
yeah, exactly. Was keenly felt. How did you feel about today? About sort of dealing with the end of, not the end, but the temporary conclusion of the Melina story for the moment, and then getting back with the party.
So excited about it. I took my headphones
Throw
off.
off your headphones off, yeah.
Yeah, they're very excited, very excited. That was just an awesome moment there to come in on the back of the eagle and to just like mess all those orcs up. They're all frightened of me. It was super cinematic moment, so I really enjoyed that.
I like that it came after your encounter with Melina too. Like it was right after the stuff with the Stauntons, and you're like, I am the, that type of thing. So
exactly. Yeah, finally know what my family is, and I enjoyed the little heartfelt moments there with Melina and Ace did as well, and he's sort of torn between family and family. So I've really enjoyed it, and I am glad that everyone is alive and that we've managed to free some slaves from captivity. So, where you can find me, well, my channel Encounter Roleplay is live 7 days a week, 24/7 pretty much. You can go and watch D&D RPGs over there. I'm not always there nowadays, but you can follow my shenanigans on Twitter that I'm up to, writing and producing different shows and new businesses and stuff like that. That's my sort of focus for this year, which is at Encounter RP, if you want to go and follow me there. But it's been a pleasure. It's been great to be back, even if I am late. Apology to Inga for that. But looking forward to next week when I really get it from the party for having left them.
So how are we doing? Cool. I expect that. Just line up the slap line to everything. Anyway, but it's a pleasure to have Will back with us, and yeah, you should definitely check out Encounter RP. His channel has been doing awesome, and Will's doing awesome stuff. So thank you, Will. Good stuff, my friend. And last but certainly not least, Tren, Tani, it was so funny that you were holding a temple closed again. It's amazing to me how often that seems to happen with your characters. How'd you feel about today?
Every single campaign we ever do.
We got to hold a door shut at some point against somebody.
With Weller, yeah.
Yeah, with
sure.
Weller. Oh,
Or
look,
little
it's the edge of a
Weller.
door. I can.
Little tiny Weller.
How'd you feel about today, and where will the fine folks see you?
I thought today went so far very well. I was thinking that the corpse entity thing was going to play more of a role in the thing. I thought there was more to that, and I was a little surprised that there wasn't more. I was we're pretty much in exactly the situation I figured we were going to be in, where it's like, okay, the slaves are pretty much rescued, and we are. Ooh,
Who will rescue the rescuers?
Exactly. But I mean, we accomplished what we set out to do. You know, we did rescue them, so we're good. Tawny's probably going to continue tearing off pieces of his Uruk armor and throwing it down at people who are trying to shoot at them.
Right.
But
you still have your voice adjuster on, Tren?
I don't have a voice adjuster. What are you talking about?
You lie. That's just your voice now. It sounds
Yes,
deeper even than normal. Really?
Yeah,
All
I don't use vocal thing. Certainly not in live feeds.
God,
no,
man.
I mean, if I'm
Wait, have you been
recording,
thinking that he's been like his tone?
No. Most of the time he doesn't, I know, but this just
Yeah.
sounded different to me and deeper, like almost it was pitched down a little bit. So I was surprised. All right, fine. It's just your
Oh.
natural talent.
I
Yeah,
do that
well,
in post processing, but not live.
Okay, got it.
It sounds deeper, guys. So if I get down into Tawny's range, it probably becomes subsonic, and there are dogs in everywhere. So, and Aranth would know how I sound because I stepped on his back once. Anyway, that was years ago. So where things going on? A very good friend of mine who is suffering some very emotional crash today, probably because it's his birthday. So to Brian, happy birthday. Where will people see me next? Aside from the D&D campaign on Saturday, which is also Talis and Jaffe's birthday, in about -7 minutes, we will be starting over at the Beyond Skyrim Twitch channel. We're actually doing a live stream over there talking about Beyond Skyrim elsewhere, which is where all of the Khajiit live. And we're doing kind of a thing. So as soon as we finish here, I got to jump over there. I think that started at 12:30 wherever I live, Pacific time. So that's the next thing that you're going to see me or hear me at.
Cool. And then you'll see me, and then you'll see Tren, of course, here again, as he said, on Saturday for more D&D with Curse of Strahd. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna also because I gotta get moving out myself because I'm gonna be back in about 25 minutes over on the other channel. So, but thanks to my wonderful crew, amazing stuff today, everybody, and I will see you all next week for the continued adventures of the now reunited Fellowship. So thank you to Trendane, to Will, to Terry, and to Amal. Can we get some much love for our players, folks in chat? And yes, you should pre-order Amal's novella collaboration with Max Gladstone, who is a good person and a good writer. This is How You Lose the Time War. You should do that. Yes, 100%. Thanks, everyone. Good to see you all, and I will see all of you wonderful folks next week.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. And that is going to be that for them. Okay, now, we have one other thing that we have to do, chat. And what we have to do is we've got to figure out the Patreon Chat Chosen Game of the Month. And I have one suggestion already, although actually I think I'm probably going to veto that suggestion because I've already played it and I don't feel like playing it again. Otherwise I would do that. I will explain in just a minute. First of all, although this music is great and all that, let me have that stop. I was really enjoying the dong dong. Is good stuff. Okay, so let us put up here Arvbot. Because we need to have a vote. So we need to have our nomination vote for the Chat Chosen Game of the Month. And so, hang on just a second while we load this up. All right. What's up? Okay. All right. So we are now running. So the question is, Arbot. Right there we go. Okay. What game should? Yeah, I can't. I'm gonna say no on Indigo Prophecy Dragon because I've already played it. I liked it, but I already played it and won it a long time ago, and I'm not. I don't feel like doing that again on stream. Normally I'd be with you, but I like that in the day. So you can choose another one if you want, but. Okay, so what should I play for this month? So we have Might and Magic 7, huh? Okay. What else? I will take nominations of 5 others. Wild Arms, ACF. Okay. Remembering that I am going to play Wild Arms at some point, right? Nonstop. Deponia. Okay. That's fine. What else? 3 more choices. And again, different nominations. I can only take 1 nomination per person. Sorry. So, we have Might and Magic 7, Wild Arms, ACF, Deponia. Yeah, better earlier than later. That's fair. That's fair. I'll buy that. Battle Chasers, the Night War. What is that? I don't think I know that one, Brahms. All right, I'll take 2 more, but I'm not going to leave it up very long because I've got to get moving and do some stuff. Lovelust played Battle Chase. I don't remember seeing. Oh, she played it on GOG stream. I don't remember seeing it when she. I must not have caught that one. Okay. All right, Battle Chaser. It's an RPG based on a comic. Okay. A horror comic? Because it's not my bag. Is it a horror comic or is it a like? I just want to make sure. Also, I'll take 2 more. Oh, it's fantasy? Okay, fine, cool, lovely. All right, 2 other choices. 2 other options, folks. What are the 2 other options that people would want? Two other choices. I'm going to last call this. Last call. 2 other choices, please. 2 other choices. Again, only 1 per person for a game that we will be playing in 2 weeks. Next week is Adventures of Middle-earth. The week after that, which will be the last stream day of the month, actually, on Tuesday the 29th, will be when I am doing this. That's when I will be doing this stream. I've streamed Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, and I've streamed Heroes of Might and Magic. I don't think I've streamed Might and Magic RPG, though. Excited for Emberwind. Yes. Oh, yeah, and that's right. Oh, my God. I completely forgot about that, Nonstop. Yeah, you're right. I also played in one Might and Magic 10, which I really liked, actually. Yeah, Might and Magic Legacy. I forgot. Yep. That was really good. I like that. I didn't play the DLC for it because it stayed its welcome just the right amount of time. I played it and liked it, but I was like, okay, now I'm done because it had some irritations in terms of how it handled some fights or whatever. So, okay. All right, so we're going once, going twice. Okay. So the top 3 people, Ultima 9, yeah, no. Although Dragon would probably vote for that. Okay, so vote please. I need votes right now. The top 3 vote getters are going to be in the Chat Chosen Game of the Month. So I need votes right now, please. Vote, vote, vote. The top 3 vote getters will be in the will be the ones that we use for the Chat Chosen Game of the Month. So we've got 1 vote for Might and Magic 7, 1 vote for Wild Arms ACF. I need to continue having the votes, please. And 1 vote for Battle Chasers, the Night War. You have the original CDs? No kidding. I remember selling. I was working at EB at the time, and I remember selling that at the time for sure. Okay, so we've got Might and Magic 7, we've got Wild Arms ACF, we've got Battle Chasers, the Night War. Okay. A lot of people want to see Might and Magic 7. I think I have the original Might and Magic 7 someplace. I wonder if I do. Yeah, I have it somewhere. I'll have to look that later on. Ultima 9. Yeah, I figured. Well, Dragon's not as down. Dragon likes Might and Magic okay. It's mostly Wizardry that he doesn't like. And of course his biggest love is Ultima, but right, Dragon, I don't think you hate the Might and Magics. You just don't think they're as good as Ultima, but you just recognize that Wizardry is garbage. Yeah, I do. I mean, I certainly don't have it in a form probably that this could handle. I would just get it again from like GOG or something, but yeah. Yeah, I loved. I mean, listen, Ultima 7, The Black Gate, and Serpent Isle were great games. Although they do not, to me, they have not held up very well. So, okay, we need a vote breaking the tie between Deponia and Battle Chasers. We need a vote breaking the tie. If not, then we're only going to have 2 this month between Might and Magic and Wild Arms. So we either have someone break the tie between Deponia and Battle Chasers, or we're going to have just 2 choices for the chat chosen game. So if you want to do a change vote, you can. That's $ change vote, all one word, space, and then the number. But we got to do this quick because I'm running late, guys. So we gotta finish this up. So last call, last call, last call. Yeah, thank you, Echo. All right, going once, going twice. Okay. All right, so we're going to have 2 choices then this month, 2 choices. And I'm going to ask if Dragonspear would be so kind as to do the straw poll and then attached it to next game, as he knows how to do. So this is for Might and Magic 7 and Wild Arms ACF. Oh, you already did it, Echo? Oh, really? Okay, because I was going to say Might and Magic 7, Wild Arms. Oh, all right, thank you. Then thank you very much, Echo. Then Dragon, can I just have you attach that to next game choice? So that will be the choice. Oh, you're at a doctor's office anyway. Okay. So we'll do it later. That's fine. As long as we've actually got the list here, that'll be great. Between Might and Magic 7 for Blood and Honor and Wild Arms ACF. So you can get your vote in. We will do the final vote on this next week. And then we will actually play the game the week after. So hope everything is okay on the doctor's office side of things, by the way, Dragon. Okay, that is going to do it for that. Lovely. Okay, cool, excellent, wonderful stuff. I want to thank everyone for being here. You're all awesome, lovely people. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for making this awesome. No chat today. No raid today. Instead, we are going to hang out together at the GOG stream. Deponia lost, unfortunately. Yes, it was Might and Magic 7 and Wild Arms ACF were the two vote getters that are going to go at it for next time. I have got to go and get ready now. And I will see. Now, Patreon fueling. I've been crafting my own fake mod sword. Yeah, I appreciate that. But I got to get moving. So I will see all of you wonderful people at GOG at 4 p.m., top of the hour. Please make sure, if you haven't done so already, follow the channel. Check out the YouTube, the Steam group, the Discord, the Twitter, the shop, the merchandise shop. Don't forget to support the Patreon. And please make sure to resub, as Terry Toons was kind enough to do today, as we continue to move forward, onward and upward with the channel. Again, I'll be over at GOG in a little while doing D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder. And then I will be on Friday up at in Boston doing my Boston area release party for 5 years later, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll try to live stream that if I can, but if not, if any of you are in the Boston area, Cambridge specifically, I would love to see any or all of you there at the Lily Pad in Cambridge at 8 p.m. for the road and our release party, Boston area release party of the new album 5 years later. But otherwise, I'll see you folks over at GOG in just a little bit. Thank you all for being here. Thanks to my wonderful players as always. Thank you to Dragonspear. Thank you to Aradinel, Brahms, Nonstop, all wonderful subs and wonderful people. Thank you to Dragon for his wonderful mod work. Thank you to Al Madden. Thank you to Apricot, Troopfruit, Adaruxu, Bilbo Swaggins, Commander Root, DeRoyne, Echo Alpha. Again, Echo, thanks for the Patreon support and for everything you do in the channel. Thank you, sir. Thank you to Ekeg, Arenth, Freest, Harlequin, Jagtris, Karohemd, Kooky Canuck, let's see, LBNEWES. Thank you to Moobot, to Mr. Mano, Nordwolf, Pulitsai, Positivity Bot for always keeping me positive. Questionable results. Raining Ink, I like that name. Space Heater 5000, TNS Mephiston, Thorazin, U Christensen, and VNK. Much love. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, check out Trending on the Beyond Skyrim stream. And I am going over to GOG. I will see all of you wonderful people very soon. Until I see you, everyone be good to each other. Much love. Best views on Twitch. I'll see you soon. Have a good one.